You click
He
the
clicked
button,
the
and I refresh the PSYLP page.
The button.
And then I tweet the button, and then we play the game. There it is.
Yeah. Well, first we have fan art, but yes.
Well, yes. Got tweets. Twort. Okay, I think it works. It does work.
Woot.
Oh, and there's a blue background now. That's fancy.
Ooh, that is nice.
Thank you.
Look at that. Production value! We're coming for you!
Yay.
2.5
Also-
years
Gonna give it to
later.
you.
Yes, little did you guys know production value actually steals you in the middle of the night.
Also, we have lovely art that Allie drew of everyone's favorite pop diva. She's an up-and-coming star. Her name is Mellencamp.
Well, that's right. I was
Right?
like, did she have a name? Yeah, it's something like that.
Yeah.
Mellencamp, I believe.
It's awesome.
With her faithful elven sidekick, aka cup holder,
Yeah.
aka
Yeah.
Bob.
aka the crazy elf who tells everyone that he's a human for some reason.
Expects people to believe him.
Yes. Including extremely on the guard tattooed women. But that actually dovetails into when we last left off.
Yeah.
When we last left off, you guys had, after a less than positive meeting with a woman whose only identifier is the rose on her cheek, you managed to have a good heart-to-heart with Ashwin Calabar, in which he gave you a few leads in regards to both Moren and a certain premonition of a great danger known as the Devourer coming to the Earth to destroy it, released all human and life upon it. And we ended the session with a little bit of a hint where a few hours after the meeting, you guys are back at your ship, the Rhapsody, unearthed from its hidden location under a nearby lake. Patrick goes to his lab, takes up a few flecks of a wood from the letter that apparently Al's sister left behind, and was able to identify it to a tree, a specific tree that has some sort of magical or supernatural or beyond dimension capacity of always being green. And also, if you have to type in the background, that's more than fine. I just ask that you mute it because it's extremely distracting while I'm trying to form words. No big deal. All right. So the question is, where do you guys want to pick up at? Because you guys, very similar to last week, you guys are like 100% in the driver's seat now. So tell me what you'd like to do.
I have two questions real quick. One is it possible to have asked something of Ashwin before we left?
Sure, of course. We were pretty in a narrative free flow place, so we can start the session with that. What's number 2?
And then I'd want Al to have a character interaction with Ellie back at the ship. So
Ellie?
that's my thoughts.
Oh yeah, okay. Sorry, I forgot all the personalities. I'm like,
I know. I was like, who the hell's Ellie?
if you listen closely, you might have noticed a slight hesitation when I said the name because I almost said Mila.
That would have been ironically, it's one of the few circumstances where it would be less accurate, but also less confusing.
That's Mila in a nutshell.
Oh my god, it is. We just, if you could put yourself in a thought, that would be me. All right. Anyway, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
The question for Ashwin would have been after Al got past his stubbornness. He simply would have asked, where do we go? Where do we report to? I mean, where would we where is everyone gathering?
He shakes his head and he says, "That's the problem. The Appalachians stretch so far, and it's so dependent on the participation of other governments and groups that there is no uniting force. Go to the East Coast. You said there's a place named Greencastle? That seems like the best place to me to go and find out what's happening. And be ready to move, ready to fight when the Devourer does come."
Al would just nod.
We have
I
no inclination, no idea of exactly where the Devourer will show. So it would be tactically foolhardy to have everyone centralized in a single position for it to happen dozens, tens, hundreds of miles away, causing destruction while everyone's in the wrong spot.
Al would nod, still not in the best cooperative mood, but trying to restrain his stubbornness.
Sure. All right. Anyone, before we wrap up the scene with Ashwin and we kind of zoom the camera forward in time and in the Rhapsody, any other questions for Ashwin before that little meeting would wrap up?
Not from I.
No.
Okay. All right. Okay. Then, if it's okay with all the players, we'll zoom in and do that little Ellie Al RP.
Alright.
Yeah? Okay.
Sure.
Burn? Pat? Yeah. Piph? Your real / internet name? Okay. All right. Where do you want to set the scene? Do you want me to kind of set it up, or do you guys want to institute it?
I'm
Initiate,
fine with.
I mean.
Yeah, I'm almost fine with anywhere, and anyone can be there.
Okay.
But the idea would be, actually, it might be like while Patrick is working on a thing, but when they get back to the ship and they've been there for a little bit.
Sure, because it wouldn't be an instantaneous recognition. He'd have to run specific tests in his botany lab to confirm and whatnot, which would take probably a solid. Even though he rolled extremely well in his skill check last session, it still takes a minimum amount of time, which would have been about 40 minutes or so for him to come to that conclusion. So plenty of time in that interim. Sorry, Squee, you said where did you want to talk with folks?
Anywhere's fine. However, it's going to involve Al getting a glass of chocolate milk. So,
well, I reckon there's
Ellie
only one place where that would be.
Yeah. But it also depends on where Ellie would be.
Ellie can be in the kitchen. Easy enough.
Okay.
All the important things as far as scenes happen in the kitchen, it seems.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, the refrigeration unit, the convectional heating unit, is a side of the lounge area of the Rhapsody. You can still smell in the kitchen the faint smell of that burning plastic from an earlier thing. It's very, very faint, and it's not in the oven itself. It's just something that still is kind of hanging around the air, just a little bit. In fact, it's so faint that Al barely notices it, and it's only significant to Ellie's senses since they are extrasensory.
Yeah.
Tom, too, if you're there, it's just a very, very faint smell. But yeah, take away, folks.
Al would make a glass of chocolate milk, preferably a cold one. And then he would sit at the table, sigh, slide it to Ellie, and then say, "I'm sorry."
Huh? Oh, thanks. She was looking at some shiny stuff that she got or Patrick allowed her to take from his lab. She kind of smiles at the chocolate milk and then looks back down. It's actually, now how about we say it's the robot head? That fucking robot.
The robot head?
No, yeah, you still have that.
Yeah, she's just looking at it.
Okay. Well, here I'll let you finish up your talk, but we might get back to that robot head in a moment.
Huh?
All right. Might be a short talk,
Yeah.
but I would say I was being stubborn, and you were right. You and Ashwin both.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I mean, I understand where you're coming from. I mean, you were so wrong, but you know, I don't care. She goes back to the head. She does not seem to be disturbed at all by the disagreement you guys had.
Yeah, Al, seeing that she doesn't seem to be upset or anything, slaps the table, says, "All right, good talk," and then goes off to be on his own.
So, as Al departs the room, he presses the button to open up the door, and Ellie, you're kind of turning that robot head around
Mhm.
in your hand. Okay,
Mhm.
I'd like you to roll me D100, please.
Oh, I love rolling D100. Here we go. It's a 98.
As you turn it around in your head, your finger actually gets stuck in a section of it. Not in like its eye socket or the voice modulator across where its strange painted mouth is, but in fact around where the neck area would be with the head, where it would assumedly attach to a robotic body. There were obviously some frayed wires and whatnot that was there initially, along with other components that you're not familiar with. Patrick's a smart guy. He knows all about robots. You just see metal and wires and boxes and stuff, but you snag your finger on it as you're tossing around your head, and it's kind of stuck there for a little bit.
Yeah.
Do you try to like yank your finger free, or how do you want to get yourself out of this situation?
I mean, is it really stuck in there?
It's pinching kind of bad, but if you move it back and forth or apply like a lubricant or something like that, or maybe if you just pull really hard, you can get it out.
I think her initial reaction would just be pull very hard.
Okay, so you pull really hard and you cut the pad of your index finger pretty badly. But we won't mark that off as SDC damage because we know by the time, even if you go to sleep, if you don't go to sleep, by the time morning comes, your finger will have healed itself. Scarless, by the way. But as you yank your finger out free, in addition to a trickle of crimson blood, you also seem to have accidentally jagged loose what appears to be a small bronze, kind of looks like a... how can I say this? Are you familiar with computer components like RAM? What a RAM stick looks like?
Yes.
Imagine a little tiny section of that RAM stick, right? And it's completely copper plated. And it kind of comes out and it dangles and on the table, making this little tinny sound as it hits the metal table. And as you look at it, your extremely keen vision, eagle-eyed vision, can see the tiny inscription on the brass component, copper component, and it simply says R.Gamble.
R.Gamble?
Mm-hmm. R.
She would
Gamble.
like to yeah, I think she's gonna show Patrick her newest discovery.
Okay. You assumedly happily head outside the kitchen area, down both the hallway and a small flight of stairs until you reach the door, the closed doors of Patrick's botanical lab. Patrick, do you normally lock it when you do work, or do you leave the door open, or like closed and unlocked, or closed and locked?
I leave it open.
Okay. So the door is open, and you can see Patrick whiling away. Right now, he seems to be transferring something very small and thin onto a single sheet of glass for him to put it underneath a microscope that has like this blue laser shooting down where pretty much a blue laser attached to a microscope. I'm not going to go too much
That's
into
all
detail
I need
here.
to know.
Yeah, exactly. And Mila comes around the corner. Patrick, you notice some movement from behind you. You see Mila with a slightly bloody finger and you can tell it is definitely brass. Some sort of brass small robotic component in her hand.
Hey, Patrick, you got a moment?
Oh, give me a second and I'll get something going and then we can talk.
Okay. She'll go to her pile of trinkets that she's gathered.
In like
your-
just the corner of the lab.
Yeah.
I like it.
It's like a little playpen.
But it's your super serious workspace, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's totes
yeah,
my super
that's-
serious. It's my
totes.
shiny pen.
Great. Anyway, Patrick, you finish what you need to get. You need to do, and you're free to chat with her whenever you like.
Okay. After looking at a thing, touching things, moving things around.
This
and
is very
test tube.
scientific talk.
Yeah,
here,
this is a
folks.
very scientific one.
Can you
session.
believe that test tubes and liquid?
Totes!
He will, after a bit, get up, put down his micro goggles, multi-goggle?
A multi-optics band, I believe it was.
Multi-optics band, yes. He'll put that down and then go over to Mila and very awkwardly try to sit on the floor.
Okay.
Check out what I found. She'll hand over the R Gamble
Chip.
piece.
Yeah, piece.
Do you think it's like some sort of communication robot device thing? It was in that head I found.
Patrick,
Mhm.
you have do you have a mechanical skill that deals with robotics, or
I
would that be
have
for you?
robotics, engineer, and electronics.
Do robotics engineer. This is very applicable to that.
Oh boy.
No penalties, no negative modifiers.
Okay.
Oh, damn.
Jeez Louise. Okay.
Yeah.
Succeed by 42. That is very significant. You recognize it almost immediately as a memory booster. This is typically used on older model robotics when you want to upgrade the memory of a robotic unit, without having to do a complete overhaul on the system, without having to replace. It's pretty much a quick, cheap way of upgrading and deepening a unit's memory, a robotic unit's memory. So it's actually no surprise you found it. Mila found it in this clown head, since it was a pretty later model of a Northern Gun labor bot from about, you estimated, between about 13 or 15 years ago of its manufacture. You also know that these memory components have a tendency to leave. The reason why they're so cheap is because they're not the most efficient things in the world. That's why the memory boosters, not actual memory units themselves. The important technical detail to this is that when you're supposed to clear or wipe a memory from these memory boosters, it doesn't get cleaned all the way. There's some residual data that kind of hangs around in the ether. and an individual with a good basic knowledge of programming and robot integration, spoiler alert, which you have, could could retrieve at least some nodes of data off this sucker. It would take a couple hours of work, and a little bit of customization on the tools that you currently have, but doable.
Patrick would explain that this is kind of like a it extends the amount of data it can hold in almost like
Is it like a Star Wars robot?
And see, for those who are just listening and saying, like, why do they know about Star Wars? It's because they saw Star Wars Episode 1, like 2 years ago.
It is amazing. Oh, God, Inferno.
endless
That's an
storytelling.
important question. We have thousands of movies. Would any of them contain the other Star Wars movies?
I think we actually
They actually have all of them, including.
So-
Inferno, didn't we
7, 8,
actually
9?
didn't we actually get like the next Star Wars before it was
Yeah, you
released?
did. It was
Yeah,
called The
and
Rise of the Jedi Order, and the last 15 minutes of it were blanked out. Now you were finally able to watch it. Please do not ask what it was. Just imagine your characters watching it and being satisfied and or disappointed.
Cool.
Anyway, back to the scene.
So, he would go, I don't really know. I would assume, well, maybe. He thinks for a slight bit. Anyway, so it basically, do you know how you can remember things?
No. Wait, yes.
Well, this thing would be essentially something that you can put onto a robot's brain to allow it to have more capabilities of remembering things.
He has memories in this? She like delicately looks at it like, we need to take care of this then.
The robot head glares up at you lifelessly, but with a big painted smile still on its face.
What kind of inner secrets do you hold?
Actually, my thoughts exactly.
Patrick, we have to solve this mystery.
Well, I might have to hold on to the head for a bit.
Together.
Oh,
You and me,
Sure.
a team.
yeah, that should. Yeah, we can do that.
Okay.
Is it okay if I? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I still had to finish up what I was working on. I think I might be able to find Al's sister. If-
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah. If everything pans out, I might be able to zero in on at least an area of maybe around here.
Hmm?
We'll find out.
Okay.
And how long would you think, Inferno? How long would you think the process would take?
Which process are we talking about? Finishing
Finishing up the Al thing.
Oh, only about another 15 minutes. You were actually running a secondary test to kind of confirm your initial theory. And it only takes about 15 minutes for the electron microscopic reader to confirm what you already anticipated.
Yeah.
Okay. So would you go straight to work on the memory booster on that robot?
He would inform Al first.
Oh, okay. Yes. Probably should inform out. So before we do that, one last thing I want to do before we get too far ahead in time is that Burn, are you there?
Yes.
Yes. You mentioned earlier on today that you did go through the new Lazlo list of attractions. And
Yes.
there was, quite a few hours between your first meeting with Rose and your second meeting with Rose.
Mhm.
I'm just calling the woman with the rose on her cheek Rose for the sake of
Yeah.
simplicity. So do you want I just want to touch base with you so you can let us know. So what did you and Blink end up doing or seeing? Since
Well,
you put some thought into it, we should acknowledge that, of course.
Yeah.
I think that the Sticks and Stones pool hall would have been a really interesting place to go.
Yes, yes.
I don't think-
Yes, you guys have been there once before to intimidate a certain fellow named Coins, but
Yeah.
the environment there is much better now.
That's
Oh,
good.
interesting.
But I don't think either of them actually know pool.
No, you don't. I wouldn't. Blink certainly doesn't.
So-
There are a lot of different games, of course, both video, virtual, and physical, up in space, and when she spent some time in Alzone Prime, but nothing quite like this. In fact, we'll even say that you guys, would it be fair to say that you guys would try to watch others and figure it out on your own, or would you ask for help?
Yeah, we'll watch. Watch and try and not ask for help, essentially. Just watch other people play.
So you try to suss it out, and you definitely hear some snickering, which Blink isn't all that crazy about. But there's a friendly fellow, which is really funny because he is almost dressed completely in leather, this untreated brown leather, and he has a ton of studs and jewelry in his face. But despite the initially intimidating look, he is actually very soft-spoken and kind, and he's one of the regulars here at the pool hall, and he runs a league, kind of a fun competition league, and he shows you the ins and outs of the game. And then after his tutelage, he leaves you two to play at your best. And the snickering, of course, stops. In fact, when he takes the time to show you, you can already sense a complete change in the environment, whereas people, stop kind of looking at you and blink and pay attention to their own games. Such is the respect this fellow seems to have around
Interesting.
the place. All right, so you play a few rounds of pool. Anything else?
There's also the Laser Villa, which is actually a shopping place. Now that place has a lot of actually Earth music and videos.
Yes. They do. Would you purchase anything?
Sure. I think I'd purchase a few things and whatever Blink wants.
Sure. Well, she'll find a particular album of sounds that she really likes. It's known as New Wave. Which she says is actually she says it's really similar to What's Up in Space, but they're different instruments that are playing, and she finds that incredibly interesting to her.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, I think, well, it depends. Actually, no. Afterwards, let's say that they went to the Elegant Tusk card parlor and saloon.
Oh, yes. Okay. Excellent.
Probably played a couple of hands of cards, and
All right.
they also have a lot of American West memorabilia.
Yes, they do. Yeah, that's their theme, for lack of a better word. So, a saloon with glass bottles and an actual bartender and food in a southern style. So a lot of rice and beans and that sort of thing. And yeah, cards. Yeah, lots of card games. Yeah.
And I think the final place probably to meet up with the rest of the group is over to the Chestnut Grounds, because I have a feeling that Ellie would probably be there.
At some point, I reckon, since that is the major park in New Lazlo. Fair enough. And in fact, we could narratively saying is that's where you flag down Mila. She tells you guys, they're meeting with Rose and Ashwin, and then you meet up for that. Does that sound fair to everyone?
I would say yes, only narratively, Ellie is not like climbing trees and stuff.
No.
She's just kind of meandering around.
Gotcha.
yeah.
She's sightseeing. She's
Interesting.
to make it very distinct from before when she's
Mhm.
when she's been in that park.
Mhm.
No nice police officer needs to talk her down from a tree.
Oh yeah. Oh god, that poor guy.
But okay, so now back to the present. If that works for you, is there anything else anyone wanted to say in regards to that little outing?
Misa good.
No, I'm good.
I'm
Okay.
good. How much
Good,
in
good.
total would all of that be?
All that okay. Actually, thank you for keeping that keeping track of that. Let's see here. We'll say about 4 rounds of pool, something to eat, a few things to drink, and the music that you picked up at Laser Villa.
Mhm.
120 credits.
Okay. I will deduct that.
Okay. Great. And I will also say, we don't need to get into this too deeply, but Blink seems the most relaxed and the most genuine fun she has had since before you met with Baron Dioxin.
Okay,
So.
cool.
There you go. So, sorry, I guess you can read into that as much as you like, but
Yeah.
just giving you feedback based on the NPC. All right, so back to the present. I believe Patrick wanted to let Al know what he found out in regards to the letter that, assumedly, his sister wrote. Did you want to do that in character, or do you want to just say Patrick tells Al? Because that's fine.
Yeah, you know what? Let's do it in character. See what happens.
Okay.
Sure.
So, where did Al walk out to when he did his apparently unnecessary apology to Ellie?
Still necessary. Apologies
I know.
are always necessary, even if
She
not
ain't
needed.
Nora.
It's true. He walked away pain free.
Yeah, there you go.
Al, okay, because so this is before he knows Patrick's news, and Al thinks that they're going to go off to the front without having found his sister. He's probably in his room with the lights out, like playing a horribly sad song on a guitar or something.
Sweet.
Patrick
Door open or
has an
closed?
easy time finding.
Sure. Door open or closed, Al?
Oh gosh, I'd say open. Normally he
Okay.
would close it, but he's just not really thinking right now.
All right. So, Patrick, you follow the sound of guitar, ringing guitar strings playing a slow, sad melody as you see Al in the dark on his bed playing.
Yep.
I'm sorry. Just a funny image in my head.
No,
All you
it's
need
pretty
is, like,
angsty.
black lipstick.
Yeah,
Oh god.
play My
I
Chemical
see
Romance.
a red door and I want it painted black.
All right. Anyway, Patrick.
just to clarify, it's been a while. I wanted to immediately say, like, oh, I know that's Al because Tom's guitar is broken, but I'm not quite sure if Patrick knows that. Don't think he was there for that.
Well, you might have not been there, but over the days that followed, and the very fact that Tom was steamed enough, I'm sure he probably would have heard it through the grapevine.
You know that his guitar is broken with the amount of shit that he's
Several
given
arguments.
Al. There have been several times where
The
he
next
has
room
just
over just
given
has
Al shit.
random plucking.
Right now, if this was filmed, you would see a montage, a silent montage of Tom waving his hands and yelling at Al, like in 5 different locations.
Emperor Prosek in Chi-Town has received a report that his guitar is broken. Everyone knows.
Wow. Let's not go there.
Everything
Great,
is
actually.
I
going
know you were
according to
joking,
plan.
so it's okay. All right. Anyway,
It's all part of his plan, right?
Patrick, now
Yeah.
that we figured out that you know that is Al playing his guitar.
Great. Patrick would knock on the side of the doorway.
The guitar playing would stop, and now it'd say, what?
Hey, I actually have some great news.
Oh.
As he like kind of does like a putty dance at the doorway.
Al, Al, you can see Patrick move excitedly back and forth.
Uh-huh. Al sees it.
Well,
Good.
just want to make
Good.
sure.
So you know that note?
Note?
The one you gave me during the one I asked for like an hour ago?
Julia's note?
Yeah.
What about it?
So I did some tests and so you see I did some tests.
I mean, we found your sister.
I mean, both.
I always get those two mixed up. Oh no, August came and asked me if I found his sister yet. Shit. Anyway, all right. Anyway, sorry.
You know how when you write on something, you usually put weight on it, and it has that little indent. And I even read in a book once that somebody used like a little scribble thing to like see what it says on another like notepad and whatnot.
Wait, Patrick, are you saying that you narrowed down where my sister is?
No.
Al looks crestfallen.
But that is what ultimately happened. Yes, I know where your sister is.
Troll.
Al goes, what?
Yeah, what I was saying. So on the back of the note, you have to write on something. And she wrote on a particular piece of wood that really only is located in a very specific spot. So yeah, we at least know where she wrote the note.
Patrick is bawled into by Al as he hugs him,
Aww.
saying, what? How? What? But how is that even? I don't even care, you mad genius, you. And
Kiss him,
kisses
kiss him,
Patrick
kiss-
on the cheek.
Yeah!
He kisses him on the cheek.
All right. Enough.
Get the fan fiction ready, girls.
I do
and
want to say
boys.
that PSYLP does not endorse this ship. Just saying.
No.
We do not endorse this ship.
The only official ship that has ever happened on PSYLP is Patrick and Void. Okay?
That is
the
true.
only
That is
official one.
confirmed. That is confirmed.
Yeah. OTP. Anyway.
Al
Back to the
like
scene.
kisses him on the cheek and just goes, how is it? Where is she?
So she seems to be following at least some parts of where we were, at least somewhat known, probably via name. She is, if I remember correctly, was it Chi-Town? No.
No.
It was
Yeah, that would
whatever
make
the,
him happy.
was
She's
it like
from
the northern
Chi-Town.
was it the
Ishpeming.
northern
Ishpeming.
Ishpeming, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's the northern gun place, right?
Yes. the
Okay,
Northern
I
Gun.
did remember that correctly. Just didn't
Yeah,
know the
no, you
name.
did. This is the
Okay.
idea. Ishpeming is the name of the city. The Northern Gun is the name of the corporation that is
Okay.
really, really big in that city.
Okay.
In fact, a lot of times it's just synonymous with them. Ishpeming is the Northern Gun. Northern Gun is Ishpeming. You know, imagine if like Disney World got so big, like 70% of it was Orlando. People would be like, "Oh, Orlando, Disney World, same thing, right?" So boom.
Didn't he?
Okay. At least in that general vicinity. Wonder if they split up to find you. Anyway.
Well, okay, all right, yeah. Stop getting ahead of ourselves here. If Rose, if that's her name, is here, then maybe she was leaving people at places in case we come back.
That
I
could
don't.
be it.
I don't suppose this told you how long ago it was written, did it?
There's no way to find out. I'm sorry. No
I
amount of
didn't think
science
so
will figure
either.
that out. I'm sorry, Patrick.
I might be able to tell you how old the tree was. That's about
Yeah.
it.
Al nods and he goes, "Well, I can't hope for too much, but still, that's amazing. You're amazing, Patrick."
He like almost braces for like another kiss.
No, Al like has broken the embrace. He's just, I would say he has like his arms on Patrick's upper arms. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Thank you for clarifying. Great. That is actually, all fucking homoerotic jokes aside, it is very touching.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course.
Patrick
Yeah,
is
Al
bright
just
red.
thought he was going to have to go to war without finding his sister. So yes,
Patrick has
he's
not seen Al
ecstatic.
do this before.
No, he has not.
I don't think anyone has.
He's never actually seen Al brood that badly before either. Wow, it's like a night of extremes for poor Patrick.
No, I've seen him brood like he went off and
Not
he's
like
like,
that.
guys, I'm leaving.
Burr, 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 burr.
Did you bring your radio? I kind of need to know where you are.
No,
Yeah, that is okay. Anyway,
that's true. Okay, I take back what I said.
all right. Anywho,
So yes, there's that. I think Al would at least temper his enthusiasm enough not to like wake Alicia up and force her to leave now. He knows it. They have
wake
things-
Tom up.
Yeah,
No,
let's
no,
talk.
he knows that there's still things to do before they go anywhere. So,
Mhm.
but he
Okay.
is incredibly happy at the news.
Wonderful. So we can wrap up that scene then, and you just dovetailed right into it there, Squee. Things to do before you go. What are some of the things you guys want to do before the ship takes
Visit
off?
Moren,
Mm.
which
Yeah.
was one of the
Yeah.
big
I was
things
thinking-
we came here for.
Well, first
Mhm.
things first, I should ask the group: is everyone okay going to that tree
Yeah,
after we finish whatever we're doing here?
yeah, we have a spaceship.
No,
Okay.
no, I'm not okay with
Um,
this.
No, I was thinking about this. I was
My
thinking
father
about
was
this.
a
I was
tree and he
talking
left
to-
me.
I was talking to Byrne about it earlier. Ashwin Calabar had actually suggested that we visit Moren before we go looking for his sister. And whether he knew something we knew or not, it's still a really good idea to visit Moren, have him do the tests, and at least get that part of it done before we head out. And new Zoot.
Oh yes,
I was hoping someone would still remember, but I didn't want to say anything because it implies that
We
I'd be leading
all
you on.
remember Nuzu.
We all
Never
remember.
forget.
Only because I might have prepared something. So
Maybe.
maybe.
We have to take Blink.
yes.
We had to
Oh,
have at
boy.
least one newcomer, which is
Yeah, that's
basically
true.
anybody.
It's true.
Well, no, because I mean, Blink has seen the sights. How can she possibly say she's seen the sights if she hasn't seen New Zoo?
Yep.
It's like going to New York without seeing the Statue of Liberty.
I've done that.
I've done that too.
I'm Blink.
Okay, listen. You can all brag about being to New York, but you're in New Lazlo now.
Inferno just rips off his shrine of the Statue of Liberty that's like hanging off his wall. He's like, I don't even care.
I don't even love it anymore.
No one understands you like I do.
You slut!
You stupid French whore.
The French gave you to the wrong people.
Should have went north. All right. Anyway,
Oh my god.
what are we doing?
Oh
Wrong
god.
with us tonight.
So, so shall I set us up for you guys seeing Moren then?
Sure.
Yes,
Okay.
Moren first.
Okay.
yes, please.
Okay. All right. So, let's, if it's okay by you, I'll just take some significant narrative control here. All right.
Please do.
So before I do so, who's going to go all visit Moren? I'm assuming it's you four, obviously. right?
Mhm.
Anyone else? Do you feel that should be there as well? I mean, the only people who know other people who actually know Moren is Alicia.
Isn't one of the people on the ship? I know he's an alchemist, but isn't he also very studied in magic?
Yeah, he's studied in general. Yeah, that would be Morris,
Yeah,
which
Morris.
is a small coincidence.
We could ask him if he wants to come, just in case his insight proves valuable.
Yeah, he would respond very positively to that and say that he'd be overjoyed to come. Most certainly. I've heard rumors, of course, of this exceptionally sensitive young woman, but I've never had a chance to meet her in person. Apparently, she's a very highly regarded personnel for New Lazlo security.
And
But yes,
as far
of
as
course I'll
we
come.
understand, she's completely possessed.
That would explain the peculiarities. He gives a thin smile.
I would not.
But
It
anyway,
would be good to have you
cool.
there.
All right, so yes, so Morris is coming along to visit Moren. Oh, N's and S's, so fun. Give me just 2 shakes of a lamb's tail.
Oh,
Shaky,
Quick,
shaky.
Criana, make a new personality called Maury.
Hi guys, I have my own
We can
TV
have a
show. You are
Moren,
not the
Morris, and
fathers.
Maury.
Sorry, no, it's not Morris. It's Marlis. It's
Oh,
Marlis
Marlis.
Stotch. I'm
Yeah,
like,
Marlis
wait,
Stotch.
Morris
It's an
doesn't sound
understandable
right.
mistake when we've been saying Moren left and right. So yeah.
Yes. Marlis Stotch, former doctor, adventurer, alchemist, and poet, as you say. All right. Yes. All right. So you're gonna take along Marlis and yourselves, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Alicia's gonna stay on the ship, teaching Morgan McLaughlin how to fly it, and Blink will stay on the ship for now to go continue to do her showing Zoe Wedgwood the systems and that whole thing.
Well, actually, I was just thinking, if our plan is to go see Moren and go to New Zoot, it would make no sense to go all the way back to the ship to grab Blink and then go
Right.
to New Zoot.
All right, no
So
problem.
maybe have her come
Zoe
with
still
us?
has she has some business, some people she wants to meet in New Lazlo anyway. So Zoe will also head into New Lazlo, but not with you guys. All right.
Okay.
Now that we all have sussed out who's where, let's glaze over the more mundane parts of traveling, since it will be relatively uneventful. There's nothing new or super exciting. Going through security, unless you guys are explicitly trying to smuggle through a weapon or a banned magical implement, which I'm assuming you're not.
Nah.
Nope. Then we can also kind of glaze over that fact. And kind of with the theme what we're doing here today, we'll zoom in the camera and fast forward it to down the street, which you recall, my goodness, it was about a year and a half, maybe a little bit longer now, since you were last in New Lazlo. Thankfully, you can remember the short, simple wooden building that housed Moren and her caregiver, a woman named Samantha. Ashwin didn't say there was any change of address, so one can only assume that this building before you, with its simple slatted wooden door and fresh red paint job, it has the paint on the outside of the house has been changed to this beautiful, vibrant red along the wooden shingling that makes up the majority of the building. And this door stands before you. There are 2 windows on either side, but they're set pretty far away from the door. You'd have to actually go into the hedges that are underneath the window to really peek in if you feel like you need to. But yes, the door is before you, my friends.
And we shall knock on it.
All together?
Everyone else. I guess Al can knock on it.
Sure.
Unless someone else really wants to.
No, that's fine. Knock on the door. And you hear a little bit of shuffling behind. Before about 30 seconds later, the door opens. And you see a man. Oh, he's probably in his maybe early 50s or so. Clean shaven. Pretty average build, for lack of a better word. And he looks at all of you before you, and his dark eyes brighten up. And he says, in a voice gruffer than he looks, he goes, "Well, shit. I get one message, and here you are at my door. Well, go on in. Good to see you." And it takes you all a moment, and it's the voice that you recognize. Because his beard is completely shaven, and he's lost probably about 50 to 70 pounds. It's Lee.
This is fucking Lee.
You know,
Ellie will hug him.
add a feeling, but that's great.
Well, Ellie's moving up to hug him, and he kind of gives a surprised laugh, and you can, for a moment, as you kind of lunge at him, perhaps old memories flare up, and you feel all of his muscles tensen up a little bit before they loosen, and his meaty hand kind of wraps around your upper body and gives you a squeeze. It goes, "Oh, okay, you're gonna embarrass me. Come on in."
Al would go in. He'd clasp Lee's hand, and he'd be like, "You look good. Hardly recognized you."
Yeah, it's amazing what clean living will do with you. Not to say it was easy, but we can talk more about that later. I can't believe you're here, frankly. And he gives a smile and goes, "Well, I can. You did send me that messenger pigeon. So I reckon we have a lot of catching up to do." And he kind of chauffeurs you all down the hallway. It's a relatively narrow hallway. There's kind of a living sitting area that you initially talked to Moren. And off on the opposite side of the room across from it is like a nice little quaint kitchenette in which there are like pleated curtains along the windows and a very simple wooden table with 4 chairs around it. Lee apologizes that he doesn't have enough chairs, but normally no one really comes to visit unless they're following up with some legislative business, he says with a bit of a grumble. And he asks you all, "Do you want something to drink? I can brew
I'm fine, thank you.
Okay, I got some tea I can brew."
Ow, can you give me hot water? And then she kind of rummages in her pouch and like pulls out some of the leaves that she uses for her tea.
Oh, yeah. Lee has a moment of recollection. He goes, "You're still on that. That's good." He kind of looks over to Tom and to Al and Patrick as if his eyes are asking for them to confirm that it is indeed good.
Tom will nod.
Patrick will like think for a second and like slowly and hesitantly nod. But he's not looking at Lee. He's like looking like he's trying to like think of different things. Like his eyes wandering around like the ceiling and.
Gotcha. Well, as Lee, as I put myself into the game. As Lee gets things together, he says, they're doing a bit of a physical checkup on Moren. They're going to be dropping her off here in about an hour or two. It shouldn't be much longer. They tend to do this every quarter of the year. She's here back in town for a few days before they have her back on, patrol, for lack of a better word, although she doesn't do the actual moving. I'm sorry, I'm rambling a little bit. I am, I'm really happy to see you. I'm not embarrassed to say it.
And we're happy to see you too. So you're taking care of Moren.
Yeah. He gives a bit of a chuckle and he goes, "Well, those of you who can, might as well sit down. If you don't mind, I guess it's a bit of a story. I guess I'll go first with the whole catch-up thing, right?
Hmm.
So, Lee explains, um, while the tea boils, Mila's special tea that he prepares for her, and then for those of you who want, it's like a mint julep type of tea. That he offers anyone who wants, and he'll take a cup for himself. And he explains. So, you all decided that blasting off into space would be a fun idea, while me and Pamel stayed on, terra firma here. We hung around Elzone Prime for about a week or two, but we never really completely fit in with those folks, and they seem to have their own thing going on. They're excited to have their own little town underneath the mountain. So her and I decided, since we knew each other well enough, I guess, to hitch off. We ended up going north to a town called Liberty to find some work. Turns out there was a string of murders that were happening, and thanks to my magical abilities and her psychic inclinations, we were able to put a cap on that, solved a murder or two, and got enough money for us to continue traveling on. About a month or so passed, and Pamel started to get a little, well, we all know that she had mental powers, right? He kind of takes a look around at all of you, and he says she had this tingle in her brain. She said it was like an itch that she couldn't scratch. She was concerned about her kin, her family, more specifically an older brother back in her home. And I'm not talking, a place in the ocean here, her home, her planet. So she asked me one and only favor, which is to send her back home to check up on her family. I swore up and down that I would still teach magic, still cast magic if it was necessary, but my interdimensional days were over. But during that whole old murder mystery, I may or may not have gotten myself kidnapped and in a pretty sticky spot, and she saved my ass. So I figured it was only fair. So I'm going to cut a longer story short and say that after acquiring the necessary implementation, I transported her back to her home. I've never been there before. Amazing planet. About the size of ours, but it's, with the exception of a few tiny rocky islands, which are just constantly under hurricane gale winds and storms. It's the rest of it's completely water, and it's this kind of this deep teal rather than the blue here. Entire civilization of underwater folk. Regardless, to say that it wasn't safe for me to hang around there, so we said our goodbyes while we were still on this planet before she crossed on over. She did mention to say to all of you that it was an absolute pleasure to know you and your assistance in getting out of her bind in regards to that whole caravan nonsense and taking her in when a lot of people would look at her strangely or treat her like a freak. She really did appreciate it. So I'm glad to see that you guys are all here for me to pass on that little message. He kind of gives a thin smile. So, why I'm here, he says. So, Pamel's gone. I had money in my pocket. I had the world at my feet. But I was still thinking about our chat back when you were seeing that Elok guy. He points over to Mila. I have always run away from my problem, which has caused all this. And I had two options, two roads before me. I could either continue on, stay away from New Lazlo, stay away from Moren, live out the rest of my days as a traveling mystic, teaching, drinking, the whole thing. One moment, please.
There was a little Spanish flea.
All right.
Oh.
So, um, so, sorry, I'm just getting back on track here. So, or the other option was to, if I felt responsible for Moren, which I do, I had to claim some of that responsibility. So I weaved my way back here. I talked with Hoyas. She listened to me. I told her I'd stop drinking for a month, which was a lie. I only stopped drinking 3 days beforehand. But, you know, a month sounds better than 3 days, and I was committed. So she first hired me on as a member of security, helping with checking in folks going in and out of this town, right? And I put my mind to it, sobered up, stayed clean, and I decided that I would do everything I could to try to help Moren however I can. I didn't know, I still don't know what the heck took her, but I could be here to support her, to help her in case anything happened. Apparently, higher ups took notice, and I won't go through every step of what happened over the past year, but there was an opening in the large council. More specifically, the council member role for dealing with, he gives a laugh, sanitary waste. The guy in charge of the garbage. I thought that was perfect since I lived in garbage for a good portion of my life, if you saw what my place looked like at the Dishonored Priest. So, apparently Hoyas pulled a few strings, and I became a politician, in which I am still, he says. Then, the caregiver for Moren, she got hitched, which is funny, since she was older than I am, and I took her for one of them spinster types, but maybe she was a late bloomer when it came to love. But she got hitched, and her husband worked up at the Monastic Imperium, so off they went. During that time, while I was before Samantha left, I slipped 3 times. First time, Hoyas cleaned me up and got me straight. The other 2 times, I pulled myself out of the bar. The last time, however, I was offered this position, and I have a feeling that Hoyas talked to the perfect, unflappable Ashwin Calabar himself and recommended that I be there. I'd be here. Well, whatever those 2 had schemed up, turns out it has worked. I haven't touched a drop since, and I have no intention to. So, you can kind of see him tear up a little bit, and he says, it's not the best situation at all, but I'm happy. I can make sure she's safe while she is here in New Lazlo, and she doesn't say she remembers me or anything like that, but I'm just glad I'm here and not out in the road someplace else. He kind of clears his throat a little bit, obviously awkward at the show of emotion. He says, "Well, come on. Well, tell me what you have been up to. And don't worry, you don't have to tell him step by step what you did in character. But,
Okay, so we went to space.
Yeah.
I think it's fair to say, would any of us as players want to keep anything from Lee?
No, I'd be curious if Lee got a premonition or whatever.
Oh, about the great dangers?
Yeah.
Lee would say, no. That typically affected psychic folks, not The only magic folks who got a blurb of that were the ones who, the mystics, the ones who tend to meditate. They have some mental capacities themselves. No, no, no. The first I heard of it was, well, through Moren's lips. I was there when she got it. That was, he pauses for a moment, almost a month now.
So yeah, I guess Al would tell him everything, mostly. I mean, not every detail, but the big stuff.
Well, Lee said you had a few hours, so you definitely would
Yeah.
have time to catch up with him.
Mhm.
All right, okay.
And
That's
then Al would say, like when they were done, Al would say, "So,
Sure.
To be honest, Lee, while we knew you were here and we completely intended to look you up at some point,
Uh-huh.
we actually came to see Moren."
He gives a bit of a smile. He says, "That's what I get for teaching you magic. By the way, how you two doing with it?" He kind of looks over to Patrick a little bit longer than he looks over to Al.
I have learned a few new things. As you heard, we exorcised a ghost.
Yeah.
Lack of a better term.
An entity. Yeah.
Entity.
That's sink or swim shit right there. I'm gonna be honest with you. Something like that is something that I wouldn't be comfortable with. And with all due respect, you guys were novices when I left you. That was what we would call in the business a shit ton big effort. You're lucky.
Al looks a little uncomfortable, and then he says, "Well, I mean, it's saved my life a few times. I doubt I'll ever be
Good.
as good at it as you are, but it's very, very."
You flatter me.
Al shrugs, and he says, "But we never stopped looking into Morin's condition as best we could, and we may have information on who took her."
Yeah. Lee gets quiet for a moment. He says, "All right, well, I think you better just keep on talking before I get my hopes up too much."
Al nods. "Have you ever heard of Skyscape?"
Yeah, I heard rumors of it. Some sort of astral city. It's supposed to be floating out there in the ether. A couple side stalkers, after having more than a few drinks, talk about it, but I just chalk that up to, drunk talk. I said a lot of shit when I was in the sauce, too.
Al nods. "I would have had trouble believing it myself, but we actually went there and spoke to someone there that was able to give us a lot of information about who could have possibly have done this to Morin, and he narrowed it down to one of three things and told us how to test for at least two of them. The first one, Lee, I'm going to warn you, none of these options are easy, but I'm sure you already expected that."
Yeah, he says simply and blankly, and you can see he has a look on his face like he swallowed something really distasteful.
Al continues as calmly as he can. He says, "There are only three things that the man was aware of that were powerful enough to do this and would do this. The first was a Splagorth intelligence. The second was a Syntaxan demon. And the third was a
Go ahead.
living planet called Ilor."
Lee looks deflated when you say Splagorth. When you say Cetaxian demon, he closes his eyes like he was hit in the gut. But when you say a living planet named Ilor, he opens his eyes and he looks confused and he says, "That last one is... I don't know what the hell that is." But
Well,
if it's a
apparently,
planet, it's a...
yeah,
Wait, did you say a living planet? Like
a
a
living
thinking thing?
sentient planet. Yes.
Huh.
The staffs that the Splagorth have with the eye in it, they come from that planet.
Oh.
We
Lee
don't have a
intones.
way. Al tries to continue. Like, matter of fact, he goes, we don't have a way to test if it's that, but we know how to determine if it's one of the first two. And once we determine that, we can figure out our next step from there.
All right, he says. Have you told anyone in authority with New Lazlo that you plan on doing this? Or he kind of gives a bit of a smile. He says, is this more of a rogue experiment? Not that I
No.
mind. If it's going to help Moren, I don't give a shit
No.
what those guys say. I mean, I owe them a lot, but...
Al shakes his head. No, we've spoken with Ashwin Calabar and have his blessing to do this.
Well, now it's all official. Well, all right. He says, what kind of tests?
Well, the first one's easy. If she is controlled by a Splagorth intelligence, she would have somewhere on her body a third nipple that looks more like a small tentacle.
He says. His eyes ponder for a moment, and he shifts over to Mila, and he says, you wouldn't mind taking a look?
I mean, yeah, I can look as.
It's just, it's less awkward that way. Two women, like guys in the changing room, doesn't have to make. You just take a quick glance.
I mean, yeah, I'll poke around and see if I see anything weird.
Gotcha. All right.
The second option is we would need to draw some of her blood, and we would need a bowl and a silver spoon and some sage.
All right. He says, I actually grow sage in my backyard. When I stopped drinking, I started taking a lot of tea, so that'll be easy enough to whip up.
Al nods, and then he says, Lee, surely you're aware of the threat that faces us in the east.
Oh, I got front row seats to that.
We intend to cure Moren, no matter how long it takes or what needs to be done. But we may not be able to do it before we have to defend that threat.
Lee sits back in his chair a little bit, and you can see he's thinking about something. He's silent for a good minute. And you've known this about Lee when you traveled with him, is that when he thinks particularly hard, his lips move. He doesn't say anything, but it's like he's talking to himself, and his lips move just a little bit, as if he's saying something. Finally, the internal debate stops, and he asks, that is, you plan on taking part with this whole thing?
We have a lot to contribute, and it would be foolish not to, considering what's at stake.
All right, he says. I'm Moren's official caregiver. I have both a moral responsibility and a legal one. And you know my history with her. You know, if what it takes to cure her is my death, I'll pay that gladly. But I'll be right there beside you in trying to help Moren if I'm right there beside you fighting whatever the fuck is coming to this planet.
You want to come with us?
Of course.
Hey!
Well, of course. What about Moren, though? Who would look after her?
They have other caregivers. There were ones before me, before Samantha. They'll find ones afterwards. And besides, the amount of time is indiscriminate. Moren keeps saying soon. That could mean tomorrow, which means we're fucked. Could mean 3 months from now, which means we're not. But if we're able to sever this link with whatever she's got fast enough, then Moren might be back to her old self, which would be a big weight off my mind. But even if she ain't cured, she ain't fixed, even if she's never fixed, like I said, I had a front row seat. And the shit that she said, the shit that was coming, these great dangers, these trials, this... He kind of fidgets a little bit and he says, I think the higher-ups here in New Lazlo are rubbing off on me a little bit too much. All this civic responsibility to the people and all that crap, he says. And even though his words are derisive, his face isn't. Besides, I've traveled with you quite a bit. I've seen some of the things that we've faced. None of them are good. I also know you're the type of people that if someone gets kidnapped or captured, you do everything you can to save their asses. I know that firsthand. So, if I'm to help the people of this planet, if I'm to help Moren, like I swore myself to do, then that means I gotta fight or I gotta take part somehow, right? And if I gotta fight, if I gotta take part, like my conscience is telling me to, then shit, of course I'm gonna do it with you.
Al smiles. I can't think of someone else I'd rather have at my side.
Well, now we got ourselves one of our good fashion deals, and he kind of gives a bit of a smirk. I'm not even going to demand a fee this time.
Al quirks a smile and he says, oh, well, considering your new mode of transportation, you might consider that fee enough once you see it.
Oh boy, he says, cryptic. That'll be fun. But let's get back down to why you've come to visit, thank goodness. And he kind of takes a glance at the white analog wall on the wall, and he says, Moren's going to be here pretty soon. Sorry.
My bad. That was me.
No, that's okay.
That was me.
You'll find out in the future.
Yeah.
You'll find in the future what we're giggling about. So anyways, Lee says Moren's gonna be here pretty soon. And then we can do these tests, like you said. He pauses for a moment. He says, I don't know that much about Skyscape, but if some know-it-all there says that's what needs to be done, well, we've tried everything, so what the hell, it couldn't hurt, right? A little bit of blood, a little bit of... and that's it, right? That's the worst?
That should be all we need.
Yeah, all right. So...
if you think it'd be better, you can... I would say, if you think it'd be better, you can draw the blood if you prefer I not.
He gives a bit of a smirk and he says, I think I'll confer to the guy who has medical training when it comes to sticking needles in the woman I care the most about.
Al nods his head.
So, as the GM, I can fast forward us to when Moren arrives. But before I do so, since it was just a lot of Lee, exposition of what he did, do you guys have any questions for Lee you would have during this little chat? If not, no big deal, but I think it's only fair to open things up to you guys.
Yeah, that was really my only question.
Yeah,
okay.
I think you did a good job of explaining what happened. I have some questions for him, but for later, so...
Sure. So, all right. So, a dark green and black military vehicle, uh, 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 kind of a more of a futuristic equivalent to a sports utility vehicle, drives on up this simple road and parks outside the house. And sure enough, two individuals in military armor leave the driver and passenger side, open up the side of the vehicle, and sure enough, you see Moren. And she doesn't look like she's changed all that much. She still has that brownish auburn hair, that birthmark that runs from her nose down to her cheek and then up back to her lip. In fact, if you guys want to take just a moment, I'm going to just quickly go on to our Rifty Fell, because back in the day, Alora made a wonderful picture of Moren, which
Ooh.
practically is really good. So
Mhm.
give me a moment for me just to take that off Twitter and upload that here
sure.
onto Roll20 so you guys have a
No
visual
problem.
reference for it.
I'll just take that moment to run to the restroom. Then I'll be right
Hey,
back.
there you go. Perfect bathroom
Same.
break.
Da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
I guess maybe I should go. I did down this
Yeah.
whole thing. I'm gonna have to go event. Maybe I'll get a snack too.
For a second, I thought you said download this whole thing, and I'm like,
Gonna-
what?
Gonna download this whole urine. Yeah.
You know, a snack sounds wonderful. I'll be back.
And then there was just me. Hello, chat. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Well, maybe I saved it to my hard drive. Yeah, I guess you can do a very, very short Q&A while I'm looking for this picture. Sure. If you hear clicking noises, that's me going through my art. I think I saved it. I hope I saved it. Damn it. I didn't save it. Well, now I'm going to have to just visually skim through Rifty Fell. So that's going to be fun. Unless it's under photos. Oh, it might be under photos. It's Patrick's strength, his physical strength. I'm looking up other stuff.
No
What is
rush or
going
anything
on?
in front of this. That's for later. I'm giving you updated Rift tokens for like whenever
groovy.
you want to use them. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, muchas gracias. Oh my god, I'm looking at pictures of Leon in August. Oh, the memory lane. It's real.
I know, right? I was doing that a few days ago.
Oh my god, the memory lane is real.
I sent you two of Patrick because I didn't know if Piph preferred with hard hat or without.
Wow, that explains it. Robo Brain. Holy shit.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi,
Still looking
Piph.
for that picture. I think I'm getting closer. I got a picture of Zoot, so we know we're by New Lazlo. Oh.
It stinks that the search function doesn't work in Twitter like it should.
Ah, damn it. Because it doesn't show all the picture. Yeah, it does kind of. I did it to find the prophecy, but I wasn't able to do it to find something else, which really sucks. Because I thought I'd just search for the hashtag Riftyfell and then Moren, but nope. Maybe they called it Morris at the time. Let me try again. Maybe Riftyfell Alora. I don't know.
I would suggest finding Alora, clicking on hers, and then
that might
searching through her
be here.
pictures.
Yeah, that might be better. Although, oh, photos and videos. Okay, yeah, she has a lot of them, but not as. That's okay.
You can then search Rifty Fell through there, and should be just her pictures.
Can I? Through her
Should be.
channel? Tweet, send, add, block, report, embed. I don't know how to search just her profile.
Oh, no, you go to her profile, then go to her like pictures and media. Then you search the hashtag
Yeah.
Rifty Fell in there. It should slim
You
down
mean
the
like
search
using my
quite a
web browser search function?
I'm
Yes.
back.
But
No, not.
Oh, fine.
but what if it doesn't go all the way down? Yeah. That's okay. Oh. I need to find this picture. I will find it.
I'm looking too.
I will find it. Whoever finds it first gets a prize.
Oh, God damn
It's
it!
in
You
color,
had to.
so it's
You had
easy.
to say that. You had to say that. Now I'm determined. Oh God, I'm getting to the meme section.
Oh boy.
Oh, there's Lee.
Yeah. It's like one of the first ones she did, so it's. Oh, found it! I win! I win the prize.
I found Austin Powers.
Oh, that's why it was Moren with 2 R's. That's why the search function didn't work. All right, save image as Moren. I know this is riveting role playing right now, folks.
Well,
I
this is
know.
what we'd like to call intermission.
I'm just happy Lee's back.
Yes.
I know, right? Like
Yeah.
it's Lee. It's motherfucking everyone's favorite character, Lee. We forgot Lee.
We remembered him.
We remembered Lee.
You did. All right. Goodbye, goodbye, Rhapsody. For now,
Bye.
it's a picture of Moren. Uploading you, uploading you. You know,
That's a
I
little
had loading
Christmas
goo
twist.
stuck in my head at Word, and I can't. Loading goo is like an inside joke with us, right?
Yeah.
That stupid Japanese game, and it's like at least 4 years old. I'm like, why is this in my head still?
It'll never
Whenever
leave.
anything's like, but yeah, there's Moren.
Yay.
Okay.
I forgot how old was she? Was she like our age or older than us but younger than Lee or?
Well, I don't know what your age is.
That's
I
true.
don't know how old your elf is either.
No.
You didn't get that info when you asked Tyrath about the body.
I mean,
Older
Ironically,
than
you don't know how
12?
old you're. No, she's in her 20s.
Okay.
So she's not a teenager. She's not in her 30s. She's in her 20s. Anywho, where was I? Okay, so excuse me. So sure enough, they slide open the door, and you see Moren, as you did a year and a change ago. Well, more than a year ago, actually, almost 2 years in game, almost. Regardless, she still has that complete blank stare, and as she is escorted, no one needs to put their hands on her to move her. She moves freely of her own accord, but she has her head tilted a little bit as if she's listening to something that no one else can hear, and she walks slowly as if she's kind of in a dream. Her eyes are similar to that as well, where she's walking through everything. It's almost like ethereal dreamscape, right? She brings her hand to open up the door. The door opens. She comes in, Lee, and she kind of drifts over to the couch across from the kitchen and sits down. Lee checks in with the 2 military folks. He exchanges some words. He shakes their hand. All you really overhear is that, physically she's completely healthy. They have nothing to be concerned about as far as her physical state goes. Lee thanks them, closes the door, and then looks to you and he says, well, I guess should we rule out, what do you want to rule out first? This demon and should I get the sage from the garden in my silver bowl, or
Perhaps we should, we could draw the blood, and while we're dealing with that, Ellie could take a look at her.
Yeah, sure, of course, he says. He kind of looks over to me, Ellie. He looks over to Ellie and he says to Moren, he goes, Moren, can you do us a favor? Mila there just wants to take a look at you, make sure you don't have any new spots on you. Is that fine? And kind of Moren just kind of looks dreamily over to Lee. She nods her head once. She hasn't said a single word since she's arrived. And she gets up and she drifts down the hallway carefully, slowly. And she leaves the door open and she kind of looks down the hallway towards you.
A small shudder crosses Ellie's shoulder as she gets up and she follows after.
Sure.
Moren.
And we'll just gloss over this. You check her body, and she does not have a third superfluous nipple, tentacle or no. She redresses, and during this entire time, she doesn't say a single thing again. Completely quiet.
Mm-hmm.
But after she dresses, and before the door opens up, Moren leans ever slightly towards you, and her big hazel eyes peer into yours. And she says 4 words in a hushed whisper. You've seen them too.
Her,
and then she opens up the door. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say, her eyes kind of twitch a little at what she said. Mm-hmm. And as Moren walks back, she kind of hesitantly stays there for a moment and then returns to the group.
Okay. Returning to the group, Lee looks up at Mila expectedly, which perhaps her companions are doing as well.
Nothing. She looks normal.
All right. Lee kind of gives a bit of a sigh and he says, I don't know whether I should be relieved or not. Sipplegorth are real assholes, but out of all of them, I knew about them the most, which wasn't a ton. I've only heard rumors about Cetaxian demons and the deals that they make. And like I said before, this living planet thing, nothing. Well, I'll go get a silver bowl that I used to use back in the day and take out some fresh sage from my garden, and I'll be back.
Then I'll get the blood.
Okay.
So question, the technology level in Rifts, do I have like hypodermic needles that I can use to draw blood, or?
Well, the answer in Rifts, of course, is it varies because there's a variety of tech levels on Earth, let alone other places in the Megaverse, right? Mm-hmm. For places, there are places that have advanced technology which would have hypodermic needles like that. Like when you were in space, or Coalition, Lazlo, Tolkien, Ishpeming, the big bright spots of humanity and civilization. Smaller towns would have your typical syringes and whatnot. And when you went to purchase supplies,
believe it was Tolkien, because at the same time I was looking for the trauma kit.
So help me out here, homie. What's a hypodermic needle as compared to any other kind of needle?
It really just means it's very clean.
Oh,
It's yeah.
Oh yeah, then yes. A one-time use,
Mhm.
clean sealed needle. Yes. Okay, you would definitely have access to though. That would definitely be considered a part of your medical supplies. Yes.
Okay,
yes.
then I hope it's safe to say Al would have taken one with him, given
Of
what he
course.
was. Okay.
Sure. Of course.
Then Al would calmly approach Moren and say, "Moren, I need to draw just a little bit of your blood. Is that okay?"
Her head swivels over to you, slowly, gently, and she looks not almost at you, but almost through you. And she says in her soft, slightly husky voice, she says, "Lifeblood is nothing compared to what is shed every moment of every day across the known dimensions."
I suppose that's true.
She, although her answer was very vague, she does extend out an arm towards you, almost awkwardly, like she's holding it up, like her wrist is facing your face.
Mm. And Al would proceed to draw the blood, and even though he knows that she never really recognizes Lee or anything, he's still gonna try something. He's gonna be like, "I don't know if you remember me, Moren. I'm the ant that's trying to stare at the sun."
She says, in her same level voice, almost monotone, "Billions upon trillions of ants exist just on this planet, even more across all knowns. All of them reach for the sun. None of them get there."
Al would nod, kind of confirming to himself. Then he'd put like a gauze or something on the wound, and then put her elbow, like where they fold it so that you can keep it there.
Mm-hmm.
And he would say, like quietly, "One day, Moren, I'm actually going to be able to introduce myself to you."
She looks at you. And for the first time, I want to repeat, she looks at you, not through you this time. And she says, "You have two spirits. You are unaligned. You do not even know yourself."
Al looks at her as seriously as he can, and he says, "Actually, I do know myself." And then
Moren
he'll go
looks
to
Moren looks impassively at you. You have made a living of training, and your experience has taught you to see even the smallest twitch, the smallest change in a person's face. But she is a blank wall. Lee returns with a small silver bowl, really maybe slightly bigger than an actual cup, obviously flatter and a little bit wider, but it is a simple thing, along with some sage in his other hand. He, under your instructions, he burns, he places the silver bowl on the little coffee table nearby where Moren is. And he then reaches out for a silver spoon, because that's what you guys are supposed to have. The bowl in the spoon. Like the spoon's bowl, not a silver bowl. You know what I mean?
yeah, that's
was
why it looked weird. I wrote
yeah.
that down, and it didn't make sense to me, but it
Yeah,
does make sense.
because you put the blood in the bowl of the spoon. So,
yeah, got it. And then
so
you
that's
burn the
okay,
sage.
because you have to put something, you have to put the sage in something for it to burn. So he puts the sage in the silver bowl, and he takes out a matching cutlery with it. There's a knife, a fork, and a spoon, all made of pure silver as well. Takes out the spoon, and he hands it over to Al, who has the syringe of blood in his hand still.
And Al would pour out not all of the blood, but enough of it to do the test, and then he would put the needle away somewhere for later.
Okay. So yeah, you put maybe a quarter of the blood in the spoon itself, and you put it. And Lee gives a small incantation, and the fire. Well, unless Tom wants to start the fire.
Sure, I'll do it.
Sure. Yeah, Lee will actually look over to Tom and kind of gesture to the sage.
Watch out, Tom! Don't strain yourself.
God does not like to be mocked. Anyway, I'm just teasing. If anything, it was Tom who was being mocked. But, sure enough, the flames lick over the sage, and it begins to burn, and the gray smoke begins to rise up, and it hits the spoon. And the spoon, you hold the spoon. Is it fair to say you hold the spoon over the sage? Yeah?
Yes.
You hold the spoon over the sage, all of your eyes peering at the red blood to see if it changes color black. This last of the sage burns up completely. The smoke drifts away, and you still see red blood.
Al looks crestfallen for a second. And then he says, well, at least we know what it is.
Yeah, Lee says. And he looks less discouraged than perhaps you might have anticipated. In fact, he has a look of determination on his face. Ilor, living planet, used by the Splagorth. Eyes. That's more than I knew for the past 15 fucking years.
Al nods, and
I say it's damn good progress.
It's just one step. We'll just have to figure out the next one. Someone has to know something about this planet. Nothing's invincible. There has to be a way.
Yeah.
Well, with the other two options, if they turned out to be the other two options, we had to try and bargain for them to release control. I don't know if we could do that with this, but we could at least research more.
Yeah. Lee kind of gives a bit of a sigh. He says, I always assumed she made a pact, a deal with something. And they took advantage of her, scooped out her part and put them inside.
Mm-hmm.
That was the conclusion of the man in Skyscape as well.
But what if the pact that she made was also a way to communicate with this thing? I take it a giant living planet doesn't have just a mouth that it flaps open and closed, right?
I would assume.
I would also have to assume that it communicates unconventionally.
Mm-hmm.
Which means we definitely need to find out a lot more before we even make an attempt, or we'll just end up like Moren ourselves.
Yeah.
That's always been my deepest fear, even finding out who did it, what did it, and why.
I agree.
So Lee sits back, he says, so maybe bargaining might not work. Maybe. It's better that we avoid the whole thing.
Even if we could bargain with it, would any of us want to make that deal?
Exactly. Well, I know I'd make a deal in a heartbeat, but
Al shakes his head and he says, "No, not unless there's no other way. The whole point of this is to bring everyone back, not trade Moren for you."
of course, he says. He looks uncomfortable. Like he lied to you, as he says, but we could avoid that completely if we just sever the connection itself. But that is, well, that's almost next to impossible. So I think our first and foremost thing that everyone's got to do is get more information on this Ilor thing.
Yeah.
But Lee gives a bit of a sigh and he says, that means we got to talk to the people who harvested, right?
But if you think about it, that's better than what we knew before. I
Mhm.
mean, we at least have an objective. We know who knows about Ilor, even if it's not very friendly people.
Lee looks at you blankly and he says, they captured me as a slave. They put a slug on my head.
Right.
We
So
might not
forget the subtlety.
necessarily need to confront them ourselves. Eventually, he said that he would communicate with us, but Tyrath might talk to us.
Tyrath. You can tell that Lee's distrust of that creature has not faded in time. And he says, so you're still working with him, eh?
Yes and no.
Oh.
He's gotten somewhat tired of us and has told us not to contact him. He will contact us, but I think that we should try and do this without his help if possible.
Yeah.
Lee's gonna bite his lip and he says, well, as much as I don't like the guy, and much as I do not trust the power that he yields, if we got his help, I wouldn't say no. If that would be a deal I would make.
Wait a second.
The reason why I brought him up was the fact that he protected us while we were in Splin, which is run by the Splagorths.
Lee gives a chuckle to himself. He says, you went through so much of the crazy shit that you went through, I completely forgot about that detail. Yeah, that must have been one fuck of a trip.
Wait a second. We know someone who would know a lot about the Splagorth, who's been hunted by the Splagorth for years.
Fucking who?
Leon.
Oh, Jesus.
Leon.
That's true, and we busted him out. Oh my
If
god!
someone knows about the Splagorth, it would be him.
Oh, if I could pat you all on the head and give you treats, I would right now. But that'd be very demeaning and like animalistic. But I'm gonna give you experience instead. This is what we definitely would call insight.
And then Al looks kind of crestfallen. But we have the threat in the east, and we have, Lee.
Yeah.
I might, so do you, let's
Spit
say
it
you had
out.
to convince...
Spit it out. Come on.
Let's say you had to convince someone I was who I said I was, even though I'm in an elfin body. You wouldn't by chance have any ideas on how to do that, would you?
Lee looks at you blankly for a moment. He says, well, I witnessed it, so, I mean, it's kind of a thing that you have to see with your own eyes.
Yeah, I thought so.
He says, your aura doesn't match that of an elf. Any, cast could know that, but know you are who you said you were. He says, that's not something that can be proven through magic.
But wait, you said anyone could tell my auras, or any caster could tell my auras, at least not that of an elf's?
Of course, he says.
That's something, at least.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
look, Al. Tom's gonna pipe up. I don't think we should even bother with her anymore. Let's just
No,
let's
what?
just
no.
go. No, not your sister, Rose.
I'm talking about Jalea.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. I thought you were talking about trying to convince Rose now.
No, screw her. I mean,
Exactly.
I mean, she's doing what Al like goes, I mean, I respect what she's doing, but no. Patrick already got around her. And he points to Patrick.
Yeah.
Lee, sorry.
That's fine.
There's been hunting for me, and we're trying to find her. But she doesn't
Oh.
know.
Yeah.
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 That is a pickle. Lee says as he takes a drink of tea.
But,
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, but speaking of that, we don't have much time. Our plans were to do some things here, finish up, and then head out. Are you coming with us, or do you need time?
He says, well, be honest with you, I would appreciate if you waited to the very last minute to come pick me up before we go ready for traveling for the next couple weeks to head out east. I've grown pretty attached to Moren here, for obvious reasons, so I want to spend as much time with her as possible. So you know me, I always pack light. Shifters always do, have to. So you let me know a day in advance, and then I'll be ready to travel.
All right.
Well,
we can do that.
We can definitely do
After
that.
all, we do have to make arrangements with the new Lazlo folks to get a new caregiver.
Yeah.
And all that
Yeah.
good stuff.
Why don't we do this? And he's going to kind of lean in. Why don't we head over to Ishpeming really quickly? Try and see if we can follow that lead, and we'll send you a bird when we're ready to pick you up.
We should also stop by Parents' Post.
Right. So from there to Parents' Post, then back to here.
But well, hold on. Bird's not going to be fast enough.
Bird's not going to be fast enough?
No, the bird won't be
Yes.
faster than. So how about this, Lee? Give us a few days. We'll be back.
Yeah.
All right. Good. He says, if you gave me at least a few days, that's good. And now I can also make arrangements for, I am a council member of the waste treatment. Got to have a interim in the meantime.
Wow.
Right.
Congratulations.
Yeah. He says if you see some of the garbage that I'm dealing with day in, day out, you wouldn't be giving the congrat. And I don't mean the stuff that's in the dump. I mean,
People.
he pauses for a moment. Yeah, he says, I can't believe I was roped into this, but even I have to begrudgingly admit the responsibility has been good for me. And the paycheck ain't bad either. Don't need to scam no one for anything. Don't have to deal with shady fucks like that Julian creep.
Yeah.
Don't gotta worry about when my next meal's gonna come from, or more importantly, my next drink. So I might bellyache, but I'm lucky.
Okay, well then we'll go to Ipshming and Parents' Post and be back in a few days. We won't take long, I promise.
Lee furrows his brow and he says, there's that optimism that you have, Al. It's going to take a whole lot longer, even if you're going full blast and power armor, for you to make that loop in 2 days.
No. Trust me.
Al smiles and looks at Lee and he says, I may not necessarily disagree with you when you call me childlike, but I'm not oblivious. I
didn't say childlike, I said optimistic.
No, I was referring to all those nights ago.
Oh, yeah. He says, that's right. I did say that, didn't I? He gives a big laugh.
Al will laugh with him genuinely, and he'd say, but I'm not oblivious. I know what I said.
We have a non-magical mode of transportation that will very likely get us to Ishpeming within a few hours.
Lee gives a knowing smile. He says, "Well, see, I wouldn't believe that unless I've been to L Zone Prime and I've seen where you went to, and I saw the size of those ships. So I have an inkling."
All right, then. We'll see you in a few days. Take care of yourself and Moren.
Yep. So far, so good. One day at a time.
Al will clasp his hand again.
Sure, of course. Yeah, he'll return it happily. He'll give hugs and handshakes to those who will take it. Before you go, though, he'll kind of give Patrick a little slap on the side of the arm. He says, "You were pretty quiet. How are you doing?"
Oh, yes. I've been fairly well. I have been thinking about a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can imagine.
I'm happy to see you well.
Thanks. Hey, before you go, here, why don't you have a goodbye drink on me? And he goes into the coat of his pants and he takes out a silver flask. You recognize that as the flask that Pamel gave you, although there seems to be a new engraving on it. He tosses it over to you, Pat. Actually, he's close enough. He'll hand it over to you. He goes, "Go ahead, take a drink. I bet you'll love it."
As much as Patrick does not want to drink alcohol, he'll at least be curious enough how it tastes at the moment.
And as you unscrew it, you see Lee has a small smile on his face. And as you uncork it, it's almost like he can read your face like, "Oh, I don't want to drink. I don't drink, right?" And his smile's just getting broader and broader. And as you take a drink, it's apple juice. And Lee says, "That was my goodbye gift from Pamel. A thank you for me sending her back home. At first, I thought it was just one of her pranks. You know what that does? It's like the opposite to turning water into wine. It turns wine into grape juice, hard cider into apple, and gin into water. Oddly enough, I never would have used it, but now that I'm sobered up, now that I'm not on the sauce, it's good to still have that tactile feel of the flask. The little jingle as the top hits against the side, feeling that slightly metallic taste to your lips when you take a drink. It scratches an itch that I think I'll always have with me. I figured since you were always the inquisitive type, always liked little magical doodads and artifacts almost more than you like casting spells, I thought you deserved a drink. After all the drinks you gave me in the past, right?"
I thank you for sharing. As he looks around it a bit more than his passive glance at it when he first was handed it.
Great. And Lee will take it back and give a little bit of smile and a wink over to you. And he says, and before you leave, he says, "I still can't believe you took on a possession entity."
Patrick looks back with a colder expression, go, "I never want to do that again."
Lee gives a sullen nod. But yeah, he'll give Mila a hug goodbye too, if she'll take it, or Ellie.
Oh, of course.
Oh, of course. And actually, when he says you goodbye, he goes, "I'll see you soon." And is your right hook still as painful as it always was?
We can find out.
No. Well, on someone else. Maybe, those assholes who are coming in to kill us all. Maybe.
Don't punch me. Don't punch me,
It was
Ellie.
a joke. It was a joke.
Lee gives a bit of a smile. He says, "Well, I've played my jokes on you, and I just, forget it. It's good to see you. Be safe for the next couple days, all right?"
Mm-hmm.
All right. Mm-hmm. Say goodbye to Tom as well, and Of course, Al, we already did that. So, yes. So, where do you guys want to go to next after you've stepped out from Moren and Lee's home?
As we're leaving Lee's home, Patrick would probably turn to Al and say, I'm surprised he didn't assume magic first as we leave.
Assume magic first. About what?
With the mode of transportation.
Oh. Well, he was right. He did see the ships.
Not only that, but he knows your magic level.
Hey, now.
He doubts you're that good yet.
I'm a decent magic level.
I can cast fly.
When he saw you last, that was the best you could do. You know, even just learning from him. Most shifters can just move themselves. In order to move groups of people, that means you need to open a rift. The amount of people who can do that are incredibly small. Moren is one amongst maybe 100 on the entire planet.
Holy shit.
Being able to open and close a rift and know exactly where to go. More can open up rifts, but sometimes it doesn't go where she wants to, as you have learned in the past, right? So yes, this is a very rare idea. So it's not unfair for Lee to be like, oh, you guys can't use unless you all teleport each other individually. It is possible, but
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I just realized
did
we're
make
more
the
rare than
assumption.
them. Because the number of people who have spaceships on planet that can go anywhere they want are like one.
0.
As far as we
1
know,
out of
yeah.
100. No, I can
So-
say wait. I can't say. You never know.
That's true.
Anyway, okay, where are you going to next?
New Zoot.
All right.
Yeah, new Zoot, but I'll tell you
Okay.
what, I'm gonna be so sad if Killian actually comes to Earth just to punch us in the face.
You were going to say something else. I could tell.
What?
I'm going to use the washroom. I'll be right back. And
Okay,
then
fine.
We will
I-
new Zoot.
I was
Oh,
going
God.
to say punch us in the dick, okay?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I find that very insensitive because not everyone has a dick
That's
squeak.
that's why I said whoa. That's why I said
hell,
face.
Excuse me. I'm sorry people keep confusing that for a third leg, but as I tell them,
It'd be better if you're like, I'm sorry if people keep confusing that as a third nipple.
oh my god. You think it's that big?
You've got a baby penis.
Oh,
You've got
God.
a baby penis.
Oh boy.
Okay, who's Killian?
Killian Blackwater,
Blackwater?
the guy that was possessed,
Yes.
who bugged our ship and all that.
Yes. The guy
I thought that was the Baron that bugged our ship.
No.
Killian Blackwater was
Bug
the
anything.
main lead guy that was kind of an asshole to us when we were on the mission to Mars.
Oh!
Yes.
Oh! But didn't we give him a promotion?
Yeah.
Essentially.
I'm not gonna listen to you guys. I'm gonna touch what I want on Mars.
Oh, boy. You guys have to be talking about Killian Darkwater.
I was gonna
Blackwater.
say you missed another moment of Criana being like, "Who is that?"
Who's that bitch?
Another
Yeah.
NPC you guys ended up hating and ended up liking in the end.
Yeah, that's the guy that was all like, I touch whatever I want. Touch this. I touch.
Yeah, no, if any, Killian does not hate you at all. I hope I don't know if he does. You don't know if he does, because the last time you checked, he's technically still flying from Mars right now.
Yeah.
It's only been a month.
No. I think it's been
Right.
2.
No, but either way, he's still got at least half his trip.
Because I'm pretty sure we took a full month over in Tolkien, in order to do all of that stuff.
Oh yeah, so you're right.
Yeah.
It's closer to 2.
So he's still got half his trip. He's got such a rude
Oh.
surprise waiting for him.
Well, also the fact that
Rude, it's
we just
great.
disappeared with our ship, so he might be
did
mad
you-
about
you
that.
That's actually the least of his problems. He works for the network, and the guy who runs the network is not there. Can you say power vacuum?
Right?
I was gonna say, did we end up leaving him the message that said, That was like a farewell, and then
did.
we were like,
Yeah,
"Thank
we
you for
did.
or enjoy the promotion."
Thank you. And
Yes.
thanks for all the
Yeah.
fish. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you did. I do remember
Oh
you
my
saying,
God, yeah.
yeah, you're welcome for the promotion. I do
Yeah.
remember you saying that. No, that message did get transmitted.
Thank God.
He's going to be very confused until he gets within radio range.
Like scribbling on his walls. What does it mean?
You know what the worst part is? When he gets back and he sees everything that's happened, I don't think that's going to make him less confused.
You know, if this ever was a syndicated series, it'd be wonderful to have one-shot spin-off episodes of like Liam Pamel solving crimes or like Gillian dealing with what he left behind.
Yeah. Like
Be
the
exciting.
little
Anyway.
Marvel shorts in between each of the movies.
Yeah, those are great. Anyway, let's guys, let's not waste time. Let's buckle down and really deal with what we want to deal with.
Let's
which
get
is-
serious and go to New Zoot.
Yes.
well.
Yeah. For anyone
Okay.
who's not familiar with the Zoot, like
Let's put on our game face.
Prepare your butts.
it's probably the darkest thing that we could do on
Yeah,
this
that's true.
podcast show
Yeah.
session thing.
Yeah, I mean, you thought those horrible monsters that had people impaled on spikes was bad.
Not as bad as New Zoo.
So you can move to the southern so you head on down to the southern portion of New Lazlo. It's about a 30-minute journey by foot. But sure enough, you come across a painted completely black wooden building, and much, hopefully, to your pleasure, you still see the bright green sign that says Zoot with a little new on the end of it, the front end of it. New Zoot! The door is open, and you see a couple. There's only one big change you can tell from the exterior. Before, people would recommend with the Snicker, and when you entered, you were the only people there. You see an individual or two or a couple or so move in and out. And they seem less confused when they leave. In fact, some of them have boxes of items that they took, or these same boxes are checked in with security, which brings them up to the front security area because they might be, too dangerous to stay within the city. As you enter, the decor is pretty similar. It's still mostly dark with these purple lights along the ring on the edge. Before, when you were there, the purple lights were kind of dim, so everything was kind of shady. Now they're much brighter, and the darkness of the room is almost completely illuminated now by this purple light, rather than only being partially so. And you see, once again, on different shelves all along the sides of the buildings, items placed on stale with little tags attached to them. But before you have a chance to investigate any of the merchandise, you hear a rustle of beads, and behind you see the green face of a certain DB with his little flappy mouth and his thin body. And he says, monkeys, zoot, 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 zoot. And you're not too sure if he recognizes you or not, but he welcomes you, enthusiastically to his establishment. He takes a moment and he rubs, like when you want to scratch underneath a cat's head, like by their neck, underneath their jaw.
Mhm.
They really like that. And so instead of him rubbing his chin in thought, he's kind of like scratching underneath his chin in thought. And he says, are you monkeys? Or are you...
Gorilla.
And then his joy deflates for a little bit. And he goes, Zoot. And he brings over a hand and he points to the newest addition to his establishment. Along the wall, you see this big plaque, big wooden back plaque with an engraving on the front of it. And he
Uh-oh.
Oh shit!
Oh
No.
no.
Oh,
No!
I got to the best part.
Mike.
Oh God.
Why does the internet do this?
Hit the internet on its side. Make it work again. Jiggle the antennas.
Jiggle the
Make it-
doohickey.
Oh,
Jiggle
shit.
the doohickey.
This is not good.
Oh no.
How do we inform what cannot be contacted?
Oh, there we go. All caps.
Okay.
Damn it. That's the sign that he's got it.
Yeah.
I like how we all waited too with like bated breath, like yeah,
Yeah.
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 Uh-huh. Yeah.
Mhm.
What's on the
Yeah.
back?
Tell me!
Swear to me.
okay.
Swear to me.
Oh,
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, as you guys would have said no at this point, I'm like, it's just a plaque. It's not that big of a deal. All right. So when did you leave? When did you lose me?
Right at the plaque, you're just like point at the plaque, and then...
Okay.
There was
Okay,
silence.
so he points over to the wooden plaque, and he slumps his shoulders, and he like mopes on over to it and gestures you over and points to the plaque. And there's this little metal speaker box next to it with a red button next to it. And he sighs and he pushes the button, and a cheery voice rings out, and it rings out the words that are read on the plaque. So for those of you who can read, probably read ahead, but this is for people who are illiterate, which are quite plentiful in the world of Rifts. And the following message rings out. Greetings, valued consumer. Thanks to numerous complaints, we at New Lazlo's Chamber of Commerce has instituted new Section 42 Rule-B, which clearly states that all purchases within New Lazlo must go with a either credit cost or bartered for physical goods. Favors such as feats of strength, feats of skill, or any intimacy is no longer provided. All merchants are to be expected to stand fast to this standardized monetary measurement procedure, and this is to institute that this establishment, and then there's a pause as you hear a shuffle of paper, New Zoot, is now under such rules. Thank you and pleasant shopping. New Zoot looks over towards you as if his eldest son has just died. His big black eyes look incredibly disappointed as he says, mattress come, mattress go.
Al looks like back and forth at sad New Zoot and then thinks for a second and then goes,
But-
picnic time! And like holds out his hands all happy.
Picnic time, he says most jovialently. And then all of a sudden, you see he's a little distracted. There's a couple other people in the store kind of browsing around, but it looks like they're kind of finishing up. They're kind of looking over towards him, and he gives a happy wave. And it's a man and woman, human man and woman, a young couple or so. They're kind of dressing in more adventuring, fatigues wear. And they kind of give a nervous smile, and then they kind of make their way towards the entrance. And you see New Zoot. He's looking at them, but he's still talking at you. He goes, picnic time, best light bulbs and fancy free picnic time have. And then when they leave the building, he comes over to you and he says, picnic time?
Tom will nod greatly.
Now, his little flappy mouth kind of moves up in a happy phrase, and he says, and he kind of gestures with a finger, and he says, 3-stand chair. 3-stand chair, picnic time. Oh, 3-stand chair. And he leads you to the back room beyond where all the beads are.
Oh.
And as you follow, he kind of looks around suspiciously, and he says, "Cling wrap picnic time." And he reaches for a hidden knob in the floor.
Son of a
Son of a bitch!
Oh wait, hold on. Inferno,
Hold
you
on,
reached
hold on.
Repeat
for
that.
knob. What was
Yeah.
it?
What was
Reached
the
for a
knob?
knob in the
Okay,
floor.
Can you hear me? Can you
Yes.
hear me?
Yeah.
He goes for the knob in the floor, and he lifts it up and unearths a hidden entranceway to the basement.
This
Oh
is
my gosh.
great.
Al's gonna just give Blink the biggest grin.
Blink is like blinking like constantly.
Trust
Yes,
me.
It's
Trust
like,
me.
Patrick is like the first. He's pushing people aside to get down there.
All right. Sorry, I'm just super excited. I've been thinking about this for months. All right. Okay. So you go to the underground store.
Oh my god.
All right. So all right. So so New Zoot leads you downstairs, and very similar to the upstairs, it's very, very dark, but this time it's blue lights around the room, and it's much smaller. It's a lot cozier. And Tom, Blink does lean towards you and whispers, she's like, "What the hell is going on? I don't understand a damn thing he's saying."
Neither do we. But
She's like, "I don't feel any better."
no.
Most
Anyways.
comforting thing you could say.
He has
But-
some
but
really
New-
cool stuff. Trust me.
But New Zoot quickly scampers behind you and closes the door behind, and he claps his hands together, and he says, "Fixture," and he points over to a new sign on the wall, and it's clear that it was homemade. The plaque upstairs is, perfectly shaped and mechanically made, and the engraving is done perfectly. This looks like just a slat of wood that was carved roughly with a saw, and there's just paint over it, and it just says Zoot. He goes, "Zoot." And he points all around him. He says, "Zoot, New Zoot, picnic time." And then he gestures over to them all very happily and encouraging you to browse. Do you want to ask anything? No, it doesn't matter. You're going to ask anything you need to. So before I explain the items that are collected down here, I will say that all of them have the old price tags on it.
Yes!
Which is
Yes!
a number of credits plus a little strange etching of a personal favor. So, give me just 2 moments so I can open up a list here. One moment.
Okay. So, New Zoot, tell me about the economic change.
Zoot!
Yeah, how is this personal favor inflated in the past 2 years?
Shut up.
Not only one ice cream, but two! Two whole ice creams!
Hey, should we tell him we met other Zoots?
We didn't, though. Did we?
Yeah, I think we did.
I think we briefly heard about.
Oh, we
Yeah,
heard about
we
them.
heard
but
about
we didn't
them.
meet them. Yeah,
But
yeah.
we did go to a Zoot shop up in the station. And it was just gone.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so maybe we shouldn't, because that'd probably be more depressing than anything.
Maybe.
Sounds very upsetting. I don't want to upset New Zoot.
Yeah, I don't want to make them sad. The plaque already did that. I don't
Yeah.
want to be a plaque.
Yeah.
All right. So, Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Are we good?
No,
Yes.
we're good.
Okay. So the first item is the largest, and it's very prominent here in the shop. They look like a pair of water skis. They're propped up against the wall. There's two of them. They're painted a bright pink color with an orange stripe going down the center. New Zoot notices you looking over towards it, and he says, conditioned seat staples. And he gestures over to his feet, and he says, staples? And he's gesturing like his feet are like stuck to the ground, right? He goes, staples, no. And he kind of shakes his head a little bit. He says, bah, condition shells sharpen. And he goes over and he puts on the skis. And he looks around almost expectantly. He once again scratches underneath his chin, almost in thought. He says, gorillas, not monkeys, gorillas. Perfect bottles? And he makes like he's uncorking a bottle, and he's like spreading the liquid around on the floor. And he takes the water skis that are now attached to his feet. He goes over this imaginary water, and he says, cleanser up, cleanser down. No cleanser down, cleanser up. Cleanser comic up. And then he kind of gives a bit of a shrug, and he takes off the skis and puts them back up against the wall. And you can see the cost for the skis are 5,000 credits plus, and you see, okay, you see a rough picture of a generic like happy face with music notes coming out of it. And next to it, you see a rough picture of Zoot's face with music coming out of it, and a little plus sign between the two of them. All right. Want me to continue on?
Yes.
Okay. The next one is on a little red pillow. And it looks strange because it looks like just a regular plastic table knife that's in like perfect condition. But Zoot encourages you to pick it up, and those of you who choose to do so, pick it up, and it's just a regular knife. It feels like plastic. It bends like plastic. You can bend it a lot, but it doesn't break. He goes, and he whispers over to it, and he says, sharp. And when it says sharp, all of a sudden, the plastic knife turns to a metal knife. And then he gives a little Zoot-like smile, and he says, sharp, sharp. And now the now metal knife turns into a vibro knife.
Ooh.
And then he says, sharp, sharp, sharp. And that plastic knife that turned to a metal knife, that turned to a vibro knife, disappears. It's still in his hand, but it's invisible. And he says, dull. And it turns back to a plastic knife.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
Pretty fucking cool.
Owl's eyes are shiny elf eyes right now.
As the price tag for that is 15,000 credits plus and you're not 100% sure on this, but it looks like a stick figure that's tickling Zoot.
I'll have fun with that, Al.
Worth it. So worth it.
Okay. Good to continue?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. These ones might be of interest. The next set you see are a set of colored pencils.
Ooh.
And they look like a regular set. It's a full, we're going to say 24 color set of colored pencils. And Zoot goes over to them and he looks very happy and he says, crackers, cherries, and pizza pie. As he takes out his fingers and he waves them around like he's casting a spell, but he doesn't say anything else. And he picks up the markers and he says, and he kind of makes a gesture for like a flat sheet. And he says, boxes. He looks to any of you expectantly, asking for something. No. Zoot. And he takes one of the marker that's in his hand. And he's like writing on an imaginary piece of paper. He goes, boxes.
Patrick.
Monkeys boxes?
Patrick will get out a notepad.
Teeny boxes. But boxes, he says. And he gestures his hand over for the notepad.
He'll hand it over.
Zoot looks happily and he goes, And he looks over to, you know what, let's be fair, because he's going to go random. So I'm going to roll 1d5. 1 is Blink, 2 is Mila, 3 is Al, 4 is Patrick, 5 is Tom. Okay? 5 is Tom. He looks over to Tom. He circles him 3 times. And he's muttering to himself. The words are indecipherable. Even if you could hear them, it makes no fucking sense. But he pauses for a moment and he begins to draw on the notepad. He draws a little brown for his hair and a fleshy orange color for his skin. And he's kind of drawing Tom with his arms outstretched and his legs splayed up. And then Zoot shows everyone his picture very gladly. He goes, but now holes come everywhere. And he takes the end of the very end of the marker, which you notice has sorry, not marker, it's a colored pencil. The colored pencils look like regular colored pencils with the exception of the very top of the tip of them, not the sharpened tip, but the other top. There's like this little rubber pad to it. And he taps notepad with the rubber pad 3 times. Bump, bump, bump. And all of a sudden, the image on the paper begins to move. The little drawing picture of Tom begins to do like a little dance. He goes, silly monkey, silly monkey. And it does that for 30 seconds before it stops. He says, holes in everywhere. And the price tag for those are 700 credits plus, and then you see, this is the most elaborate drawing. It's a picture of Zoot reclining on a chair and looking at a brand new picture on his wall, or a picture on his wall. He points to the picture and he says, Zoot.
I like this, I like how Zoot is, still the lovable Zoot, but now he's kind of got this more cocky kind of attitude,
yeah. Zoot.
Zoot.
Look what I can fucking do now.
Yeah.
Zoot's been practicing.
Yeah.
All right. item here to feature, if that's okay by you guys, here in this underground
Yeah, sure.
marketplace
Yeah.
of Zoot. um. Oh, I didn't disconnect. I'm just scrolling.
Okay.
Okay.
What you see, once again, doesn't seem all that exciting initially. It's a portable hand vacuum cleaner. The condition appears excellent, but on closer inspection, it appears that the cavity that houses the motor is completely missing. Oh, give me one more moment, guys. I was too busy clicking around. I closed my document. I know this is people like, I'm on the edge of my seat. What does this fucking vacuum cleaner do?
What?
And you're like, chill out.
Chill out.
Come on, chill out.
Just chill
We're gonna
out.
get there. We're gonna get there.
It's the plaque all over again.
And on the plaque.
Says Zoot.
Oh my god.
What is it?
Can you
It's on the plaque.
wait? Can you not hear me anymore?
No,
Yeah,
we
we
can
can
hear
hear
it.
it.
We can.
Oh,
I was
We
just
can hear ya.
accentuating what you said.
okay. All right. So now Zoot is gonna get super dramatic, and he goes over to the fan. He goes, "Oh," and he brings his hand to his green forehead, and he goes, "Oh, bags are everywhere." Pigeons in carriages. Oh, and he rubs his belly and he's like, oh, so many pigeons. Oh, and he looks over to the vacuum cleaner and he like brings a hand to his ear and he goes, what fasteners? No more pigeons in cages. And he saunters on over and he grabs the fan and he pushes a big blue button on where the handle is. And even though there's no discernible motor, it begins to make this whirring noise. And he begins to like vacuum clean his body, like his arms and his stomach and his torso and his legs. And it doesn't look like it's doing anything. It just looks like he's vacuum cleaning his body. And he places down and he goes, ah, and he points to his head and gestures out. And he goes, clear, clear. And he points to his belly. He goes, pigeons all fly away. Zoot, picnic time, eternity. The price tag on this item is 25,000 credits plus. Oh, sorry, I'm taking a drink. Which is actually very appropriate because it's 20. I said 25,000 credits, right? 25,000 credits, and it looks okay. Hopefully, this isn't copyright infringement, but I don't care. It's Zoot drinking a bottle, and on the side of it is the Coca-Cola logo on it. Now, the three Tom, Al, and Mila have no idea what the hell Coca-Cola is. But Patrick, thanks to his archaeology and his knowledge of the golden age of man, recognizes in your scavenging, especially in Lacree, Patrick, you've seen these cans before. They're made of aluminum. You knew they used to be a popular beverage back during the golden age of man, right?
Mm-hmm.
You do know there's always been a couple that have been found unopened, but no one opens them because they don't know what's going to happen, if it's any good or anything like that. But yeah, it looks like Zoot wants a Coke. Or equivalent, maybe.
Oh, not
But yeah.
Pepsi.
Okay, let's not get into. I don't think Zoot's gonna have the Pepsi challenge anytime soon. So we're good.
Well, and I shouldn't say that. I don't want to neglect any opportunities for sponsorship, Coca-Cola.
F you, Coca-Cola.
I'll sell out for Coca-Cola. I'm not afraid to admit that.
Okay, let's get back into our made-up
Okay,
game,
sorry.
shall we? Okay, so yeah, those are the 4 featured items that Zoot has managed to whip up that he has decided to sell on the sly, on the way he likes to sell things, which is frankly the only way a person should sell things.
Okay.
Points to the
so-
sign, Zoot.
So, I mean, we're gonna buy them all, right, guys?
I mean,
Is
is
there
that even a
anyone-
question? I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, do we have any Coca-Cola?
Probably
We
an
probably
equivalent.
do not.
we need to find an equivalent, I think.
Or make an
King?
equivalent.
Or make
Oh,
an
or that.
equivalent? Oh, jeez. I don't mind drawing the picture for him.
Okay.
Tickle them.
You guys are better at music, unless, you want me to let me use your guitar, Al.
Yeah, hey,
Because
if
I'm
nothing else,
missing
it'd be good
one.
practice for Tom.
Oh,
What?
no. This is another one of Squee's like sweet oblivious
Squeeze brain is
moments.
innocent. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it'll be great practice because you can't practice normally.
You need
Well,
to practice.
No, hang on. There's a big difference between practicing by yourself and performing for someone. That's what I was referring. It's practice.
Okay.
We know what you meant. It was just like it came off like, oh yeah, you need the practice.
hmm
I love the like. I love.
But he
Squee,
does now, Squee.
Who doesn't need practice?
So
Tom does. Doesn't fuck. You're bringing it down.
I love.
No,
how you
I
guys said-
don't.
God damn it.
Sorry,
Speak,
go ahead.
Speak.
Good.
I love how you guys said, "Oh yeah, it's one of those another
Be
like
my friend.
Squee's oblivious
Just gonna keep-
moments," and Squee without like a momentary beat goes, "Yeah."
Yeah, I agree with you. I just don't.
Yeah, of
Yeah,
course I
what
know
are we
I'm
talking
oblivious.
about?
What are you talking about?
What's going on? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can hear you.
Okay. Are we back? Are we good to go back in?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think so.
Yeah.
All right. So, do we want to just do? Do we want to do it in the order that I presented to you? Buying the skis, because really, as long as you guys deduct the total number of credits, which is what was it? 15, 25, 15, and 10.
That is
right?
45,700. I can do that.
Oh. Okay. Well, there you go. All right, so you can pay for it. So really, in order for you guys to put these in your inventory, you just got to deal with the favors. So, should we just go do the skis, the knife, the
Sure.
drawing set, and the vacuum cleaner? Okay, so skis. So who's gonna sing with Zoot? Because
I'll
Zoot is
sing.
super excited for this. Okay, so Zoot's gonna come over to you, super excited, and he's gonna say, like, it's okay. You can't tell, but it's clear due to the situation that he gets to indulge in this very, very little.
Mm.
So he's super excited. He looks over with you, and his previously dejected big black eyes are just filled with mirth and excitement. And he says, "Monkey, mouth noise," and then he gestures to him. Okay, and he says, "Nylon fishing line," and he gestures over to you.
Nylon fishing line.
Yeah. Vinyl patching kit.
Vinyl patching kit.
Doorknob shank and toy laser pistol.
Toy land shaker and a pistol.
He claps. And I'm actually, I didn't expect you to sing along with me in character. So since you did, there's no need to continue. You could just been like, and I sing with Zoot. But it's nice that you did. I'm glad that you indulged your GM.
I hope you could like just anticipate like the questioning glances like Ellie gives over to the group.
You see
But-
Patrick with like a encouraging big smile with two thumbs next to his head.
Take it.
And Zoot then happily hands, after the credits are transferred, of course, happily hands Ellie 2 big old pairs of skis.
Woo!
Woo! All right, on to the knife.
Which one? What was the knife?
I think it
Tickle.
was tickle. Yeah. So Al will a little awkwardly go up to Zoot.
So it will be all flappy-faced smiles. And he gestures to his hips, to his shoulders, and he says, "Monkey, go here."
Al will then shake his head, shrug, smile, and start tickling him.
It's very important. Where do you tickle him?
Between his hips and his shoulders. Yeah.
Good. Then he's all giggles and he's happy. You tickle him for a couple minutes, and his laughter is like this weird I don't know if you remember, but it's like this weird little trilly noise. It's actually kind of cute under less weird circumstances. And at the end,
Patrick
he's
thinks
just
it's adorable.
and the trills end, and he's like, "Black Sabbath." And he hands over the knife, and he gestures over to Al, and he says, "Sharp, sharp, 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 dull."
Al will go sharp.
All of a sudden, it turns. Now, see, Zoot said it, but it was in your hand, so nothing happened. But you said sharp, and sure enough, plastic turns to metal.
Sharp, sharp.
Metal turns to vibroblade.
Sharp, sharp, sharp.
Vibroblade turns invisible.
And I can still feel it and everything, right?
Yep.
And then Al would go nod and he'd go dull.
And it's back to a plastic knife. Visible, of course.
Al has
Okay.
sparkly eyes.
Alrighty.
So I guess it's my turn.
Yes.
All right. So, Tom is going to go over and motion to him on the price tag. He's going to point to it and go, do you want monkey? And he's going to point to himself. Then he's going to point to the price tag and point to the pencils.
He scritches underneath his chin again, and he says, adjustable wrench.
Okay. Boxes for and he's going to point to the wall.
Yes. Big boxes. And he gestures with his hands splayed out, and he says, 8-track tape. Battery's missing. Zoot. And then he runs up the stairs, and you hear like beats coming, whatnot, and you hear in the distance him greeting other people in the store. You like hear in the distance like, "Oh, picnic time! Oh, garbage can! Bye! Pedal monkeys! Pedal monkeys!"
God damn, I miss you, Zoot.
While that you hear that, Patrick's like, I think he actually really gained the hang of this whole language thing.
Ellie like gives you like a smile and like a questioning look, like, hey, for real?
Like half of those things sounded like sentences, like formulated things.
He does certainly seem to be getting the hang of it, if slowly, yes.
He seems to be only missing nouns, pronouns, verbs, and adjectives.
Oh, only.
And gleefully unaware of your observations of his linguist, Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. You hear a few more like thumps upstairs, thump 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 thump, thump. And then more rustle of beads, and he comes back downstairs, and he has this huge, like mural-sized. Wait, no, murals are really big. Like a poster-sized piece of paper. And
Okay.
he hands it over to Tom, and he says, "Monkey hubcap and plastic box later." And he kind of makes a frame gesture with his fingers, and he points to him. He goes, "Me plastic box."
And Tom will nod. Then he will take the colored pencils and kind of motion for him to, lounge, like on the price tag.
Metal shears. And then Zoot will, on the stairs of the staircase, he'll sit on them, and he'll, like, give a regal-looking pose. Like, he thinks that's how you're supposed to pose in pictures, to always look like royalty.
Oh my
So
god.
he has his chin up and his chest out and his hands folded in his lap.
And Tom will proceed to use the colored pencils to draw him.
Yay! Now roll an art. Roll an art skill.
Yeah,
This
let's
is
roll
applicable.
this. Please do well. Please. I succeed. By
Okay.
12.
You succeed by 12, it looks like, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hello?
Yes, yes, I do.
Oh, okay. There we go. Sorry, it's lagging a little bit, but you can hear me now, right? Also, that's a perfect representation there.
Yeah.
Criana.
Thank you.
So, I believe the original price was like 700 for them, correct?
Yes.
Yes, that was the number.
Because you drew so well, Zoot is only going to take 600 credits.
Sweet.
So there you go. But he seems very pleased, and he looks at it. He looks at you, and Zoot gives a bit of a smile, and he gestures over to the pencils, the colored pencils. Tom, there's one thing that you noticed really big about these.
Mhm.
The pencils never lose their sharpness. They never dull.
Oh my god, that's very useful.
Yeah. So, but he gestures for the green one, and he says, "Zoot?"
He'll hand over the green one.
Great. And Zoot will go over to his new picture, and he'll spread it on the ground, and he'll tap it 3 times with the rubber end, and you just see Zoot's. Okay, so Zoot doesn't have eyebrows, right? But he has a ridgeline over his eyes, and they wiggle a little bit as his pictures wiggle a little bit for a few seconds, and he gives another trilly laughing noise as he hands the green pencil back over to Tom, and he claps his hands. He says, "Picnic time, picnic time." And so the last one for the vacuum cleaner. Get those pigeons out of those cages. Whatever the fuck that means. So, yes, what do you guys want to do?
Patrick will turn to the rest. I have an idea, but I think we're going to need to come back.
Sure, of course.
Would anybody want to keep him company?
Al will nod and he'll say, "I can do that."
Disconnected.
Oh,
Oh no.
I can
Hi.
hear you.
Hello.
I can hear everyone.
Inferno, can you hear me? I can hear you.
I hope he's typing back, Criana. I can't hear you.
What?
We
Hello?
can hear you.
Hello. Inferno, no.
Hi. Okay.
Hi. Hi.
That was so.
Oh.
Okay. No. We're so
Cutting.
close.
Please. Please, for the love of God.
Patrick
Just
says,
wanna-
"Okay, you guys stay here. I'll go get the phone."
Okay.
Okay, do it.
Okay.
Uh, Patrick will run back over to Moren Lee's place.
Okay. You dash. You dash as you can. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. We can hear you. Let's see. We can hear you.
Okay.
Mm,
That's so weird.
All right. What do you want to do with Moren? I mean, Lee.
I would like to inquisit about his flask, how it works.
Oh. Oh. Okay. You can hear me now, though, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. The second you can't hear me, I'll just type out the rest because we can wrap things up after New Zoot, but this is a horrible place to hang it on. Lee explains from his understanding from a magical perspective what it does. It does a small conversion spell based on the substances that are in the item, right? So, wine comes from grapes, so it converts that to grape juice, right? So it takes the kind of the elements that's in it and kind of moves it or changes it around.
Okay. Have you ever had it make into okay. So what I would have to do for if I wanted soda
Mm-hmm.
would make I would need to make a carbonated, so
Mhm.
most likely maybe like a wine or something like
cooler.
that.
Yeah.
Cooler. Make sure it's sweet and whatever flavors Coca-Cola was, and my character would have to know that.
Okay, roll that skill check. It would be anthropology.
Anthropology.
Make it harder by 10.
Okay. 18.
Still succeed. Okay, you think you can get probably a good estimate as to what it probably tasted like.
All right. Lee, do you have glass recycling here?
There is a oh my god, this is almost like it's meant that be. As a guy in charge of waste disposal, he would know for sure the recycling facilities in which glass is one of them. Definitely, it can be reused for a variety of reasons. So yes, he knows exactly where, and since you're friends, he can just get you some.
Okay. An odd request.
Okay.
I would need to temporarily pour liquid into your flask and then remove to make it into a liquid of something else, as well as I would probably need to either make or find a drinking bottle, a glass drinking bottle, and I guess where would be your a place to either buy or find coolers or
Oh, well, it's a good thing you're asking me. Lee would kind of sit back, almost reminiscing. He says, "Well, if you want cheap coolers that'll get you drunk real fast for a small credit fee, it would probably be Dixon's Dixon's Distillery down on 7th Ave. But if you want one of those high and mighty, really so sweet, it's almost like you're drinking sugar that you forget that you're drinking alcohol, they serve a bunch of that over at the Painted Lodge. At least they did what I was drinking."
That's exactly what I'm looking for. So Painted Lodge.
He says, "Of course you can bore my flask." He says, "Just give it back and we'll consider ourselves square."
Okay. I will most likely not need to bring it with me, but I'll be back.
Great. And by the way, Lee would give you the address of the recycling facility. He said he'll send a message ahead to be like, if there's a weird guy that's coming around looking for glass bottles, just let him in, let him take whatever he wants.
Great.
So, if it's okay by you, we can just narratively go over these 3 steps that you need to do. All right.
Right.
You're able to get, you're able to purchase some coolers over at the Painted Lodge. That'll cost you 20 credits
Okay.
for
That's-
2.
Don't worry, Burn. Don't worry about. I have some pocket credits.
Money.
I'm taking
Okay.
All
out.
right, cool.
Glass recycling is free.
Okay.
So
I'm gonna try to find a fancy tall bottle if there is one of those.
roll me a D100, please. You managed to find one, although it might be a little bit taller than the Coke bottles were.
Mhm.
Like maybe it's about a couple inches taller, but it's pretty close. And the more important thing is that it's completely unbroken. You don't
Right.
want Zoot to drink broken glass.
Oh God.
That would be not a
What
good
kind of
picnic
monster
time.
am I? You think I am?
I don't know. Okay, anyway. So yeah, you have your cooler, you have the glass bottle, you have the flask.
Would like to. So I tried to make a similar flavor. You think like orange or something like that?
Sure. Yeah,
Um,
that's fair.
And would like to try to use that with the flask and see what I get out of.
Okay. Well, you pour it in. It's an orange fluid. When you pour it in, shake it around, and when you pour it back out into the bottle, the orange has deepened significantly to an orangey brown color. You know it's not exactly what Coca-Cola looks like, but it's pretty close.
And it's carbonated and whatnot.
Yes, it is. You can definitely see the bubbles.
Okay. Thank you, Lee. Sorry for the odd requests.
He says, considering some of the weird shit that we've been through, it's fine. He'll take it and he'll wish you well.
Mhm.
Rush back to New Zoot. Well, Patrick's been gone, and he'll be gone for like an hour. You'll see like New Zoot. He'll like gesture you back up, and like he's being all sly, like he's not like acknowledging you anymore. He's like spending all the time with a bunch of other customers and being really polite in his really weird language. He doesn't haggle. He even goes over to the side to the newcomers and pushes the buttons, and he doesn't look dejected. And Ellie, you can swear sometimes he like when the other customers aren't looking, he looks over to you guys. All of you can see it, but Ellie notices it the most. He like gives you like a knowing, like over the top wink. Wink, wink. And then finally Patrick comes in and you have the bottle in your hand, right?
Yeah.
And this dude is like, gorilla, come here. Yeah. And he'll like move over to you and he'll like try to like cover up the bottle like it's like this smuggled good, like purple vest, and he like quickly whisks you behind the beads to the backyard, and he looks to the bottle and you see his tongue sticks out of his little flappy mouth, and you can see that his tongue is narrow and purple, and he like licks his flappy tongue lips or whatever. He looks over to it and he goes, "Picnic time."
Patrick slightly went, "Picnic time."
And then Zoot will take the glass and he'll raise it almost like he's doing a cheers. And he goes, "New Zoot, picnic time." And he drinks it. He seals his flappy mouth over the rib and he casts it back. And have you ever seen like a baby deer drink out of a bottle? How they like cast their heads all the way back?
Yep.
That's what New Zoot is.
Precious. Just precious.
He's gonna get an ice cream headache.
No. And he downs the bottle and he licks his lips again. And he hands the empty bottle over to Patrick, and you can see him humming a little bit. Then he nods his head. He goes, "Nah, picnic time." And he hands over the dust buster cleaner to you. There you go.
We did it.
We did
Does he-
it.
Now,
Mhm.
I'm assuming, I just wanted to make complete sure, he
Sure.
did ask us for credits for that
Yes.
as well? Okay.
Yes, he did. Yes.
Got
Yes.
it. Because he's just like, that's good, here's this. And I'm like,
Well, no, I
I'm
always
pretty
I
sure.
decided to do the I did the assumption that you guys transferred all the credits for all these purchases since Byrne already deducted them. But yes, you're right. After the credit, his cred chip reader gets the transfer of your credits as well too. Then the sale is final. The Zoot has been nude.
Oh.
Oh,
No,
God.
Oh!
Like no,
Oh,
no,
oh,
no,
okay.
no. Okay, yeah, I was trying to do weird wordplay, like how he would do it.
Nah,
but you're
I'm
right,
with
that
you,
makes no
Inferno.
sense.
I support you.
I'm horrified.
You know, guys, technically, if you want to look at it, like we were just doing favors for a friend. We didn't even technically break the law because we did exchange money for goods,
Yeah.
and then spent the afternoon with our friend doing weird crap.
That last bit, though.
It's true.
But yeah.
I think this is the perfect time to wrap up the session.
Wait.
Who'd have thought that buying something would be so fucking entertaining?
Right? I do
Oh,
have a
God.
question, though.
Sure.
What was Blink's reaction to all of this?
God, yeah.
You recall back when you first entered New Zoot, the confusion, the mouth agape, the questioning looks to each other, and then finally, like, the dejected, like, shrugs and be like, okay, I guess this is what he wants.
Mm-hmm.
That's her reaction. Almost to a
Okay.
core. Yeah, definitely. Well, with that, thank you guys for playing.
Bye.
No, thank you for playing. Thank you everyone for watching. I'm looking forward to next session when you guys now that you've
Find a tree stump.
Yeah. Well, no, it's not a tree stump. It's a full-grown tree.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Unless it became a stump since you've been gone.
What do you know?
No, don't
Squee?
give him ideas. Maybe we're not actually.
I'll never tell.
Maybe we're not actually finding a tree, but finding a log cabin made out of that tree.
Oh god.
Oh
my God.
Tree.
We're getting
Find
so
out next
meta.
time in Riffs. All right. Bye.
Bye. We will see you guys next week Sunday for Riffs. Don't forget we usually also stream 3 Galaxies every Wednesday. We will see you then.
We do.
Well, yes. Yes, we do. GM.
What?
Anyways, see you later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.